first generation, the second generation, the third generation, the fourth generation. What a nightmare. Like, that's the worst possible thing you can imagine thinking about during Yom Noraim. And this is in the actual Yom Noraim. Now, I understand why we would have an interest in not saying this, you understand? But the problem is, how do we have the temerity to come before God, tin cup in hand, asking for forgiveness every year, and misquote what he actually says in the Bible? Do you understand what I mean? Like, how do you come to God and say, and we know that you're God, there's no sevavon, and you cleanse sin, because that's what you said to Moses, and you told us to recite this over and over again, and you would forgive us if we only said these good things. Ain't what it says. Like, if you were God and your people came to you like this, editing judiciously the text that you actually gave, what would you say to these people who come asking for forgiveness every year? I don't know about you, but if I were God, it would be like, blow a die that you sinned, right? That's bad enough, right? But now you have the gall to misquote me and pretend that I said that I was going to cleanse your sins when I actually said the exact opposite. But not pay, lo yunake, and cleanse. I was very explicit about that. Lo yunake, right? I'm not going to. How could Chazal have done that? Do you understand the So my little problem here, this is a much littler problem than my first problem, but my little problem is there seem to be 2 words that are extra in our recitation of sleepless. If you're an editor, what 2 words could you very easily cut out? V'sham ne'amar. How come you have to say v'sham ne'amar? And there it says, v'salachti tivarecha. You're just quoting 2 psukim back to back. Whenever you quote 2 psukim back to back, you stop after the first pasuk and then say v'sham ne'amar. And by the way, it also says this. You don't say that. So how come here we add v'sham ne'amar instead of just quoting 2 psukim back to back? Like earlier, we literally stitched together psukim and pretended they were one big pasuk and didn't say v'sham ne'amar. Didn't say like, here comes another pasuk. But now, all of a sudden, no. We have 2 psukim that literally are back to back, that are quoted in their entirety. Instead of just starting and continuing, it's like v'sham ne'amar. What's that about? So these are my 3 questions about sleepiness. Big question number 1, how do we have the temerity to come to God, take up the hand, and misquote him as to whether or not he cleanses sins, when he seemingly said he doesn't. He's poking up what I was up on. And question number 2, why is it that we stitch together Moshe's appeal to God and put it as if it's part of the Yisrael? And what's the v'sham ne'amar in the Salat Tivarecha? Okay, those are my 3 questions. I have a theory. I'm going to give you the essence of the theory, then I'm going to try to show you how it actually works. Here's the essence of the theory, just the road down where I'm going. The essence of the theory is that Chazal understood something about the Yom Yisrael. The reason they understood it is because they were very attentive to the words of Yom Yisrael, and they saw a couple important things. A, they saw the context of Yom Yisrael, right? They weren't the ones who just like took some sukkim and said it every morning. They actually looked at it inside and said, oh, there's a context here. Let's look at the context and understand it in context. That's the first thing they did. But there was also a larger context in the Yom Yisrael. Not only the surrounding prakim that lead up to it, not only the surrounding story that the Yom Yisrael is part of, they were also attentive to clues within the text of the Yom Yisrael that suggested that the Yom Yisrael were intimately connected to at least 2 other documents earlier in the Torah. And to really understand what was going on, you have to understand the relationship between the Yom Yisrael and those earlier documents. So they saw context and sort of meta-context for these words. Once they saw those things, I think they came to an understanding of a very basic concept that we think about this time of year, which in a word is forgiveness. And they came to a startling understanding of the idea of forgiveness. What they intuited, I believe, is that forgiveness in the Torah is not a static concept. It's not like there's this idea called forgiveness. It's just everywhere in the Torah. It's here, there, everywhere, and it's the same thing everywhere. No. The Torah is a story, and just as characters change in the story, right, so too ideas can change in the story. But one of the ideas that changes is the nature of forgiveness. Forgiveness evolves in the Torah. It starts as something, and it slowly evolves into something else. I think Chazal were aware of that, and what they did, that's very tricky, right? Because forgiveness is a moving target, right? So what do? How do you, when you're trying to extract sukkim that we invoke to capture this moving target, what do? So what Chazal did was they took pieces of text and stitched them together to give you their understanding of the upshot of what the end of the story is about forgiveness. Where does forgiveness land at the end of the Torah story, right? And what they did was they took some sukkim, some of them in the middle of the story, some of them toward the end of the story, and stitched them together to give you what in their view was the truest perspective of where the Torah ends up, even though they did some editing to arrive at it. Okay? If that sounds a little hard to understand, you'll see what I'm talking about as we actually go through it. I want to sort of tell the story of forgiveness. What is that story that Chazal saw when they looked at A, the context of the Yudhim Umidas, and B, the meta context of the Yudhim Umidas, those other stories that the Yudhim Umidas were attached to. So I want to sort of go through the clues that I think Chazal saw to arrive at this. Let's start with the meta context, right, the outer layer, and then we'll get into the inner layer. What meta context did Chazal see that convinced them that the idea of forgiveness evolves, I think, into ultimately what they saw? They saw the first puzzling thing they saw was that even though Yudhim Umidas seemed to come out of the blue, that God, in the middle of the story of the Egel, just decides and reveals himself as a God of compassion. And it sounds like that revelation is new stuff. God is coming out of the clouds, which he had never shown himself before. That's actually not true. And you will find that there are phrases in the Yudhim Umidas that appear earlier in the Torah. They're borrowed from earlier texts of the Torah. Let's go back to the first page of your handouts in Slivos. Read through it one more time and ask yourself, where did we get this language from? Or even, let's look at, where do we get this language from? So, Hashem Kalcham Kalracham Kalracham Notzer Chesed Alachim Nosei Avon Bakasha B'Chata Nosei Avon Bakasha B'Chata. And now, if you continue in the actual flip over to page 2, let's go look at the actual words. And that pay loading that way. So it turns out that there is another text where this comes from, and it's a text right there in Shmos, and you'll see it right there in this little chart, handy-dandy chart that I created for you, which is 13 attributes on the left-hand side, and on page 2, the 10 commandments on the right-hand side. Turns out that this language actually appears in the 10 commandments itself. It appears in the second commandment in the 10 commandments, the one that prohibits idolatry. Let's read that command, and you'll see, right? L'sasa l'cha pesach v'chol tmuna, asher b'shamayim ma'al asher b'arz mitachatz, asher b'mayim mitachatz ha'aretz. Don't make yourself any idols. Lo tishtach v'melech, you should not bow to them. Lo ta'atein, you should not worship them. Ki anochi asher lotecha kel chana, I am a jealous God. Now listen to these words. Tokim avon avos avanim, al shuleshim ba'al rivayim. I visit the sins of fathers on children of the third generation and of the fourth generation, lisonai, to those who hate me. Osef chesed lalafim lo avai u'lishomer mitzvosai. I do chesed for 1,000 generations to those who love me and who keep my mitzvahs. Right? So you see there are two phrases that are lifted right out of the second commandment and just flow right into the Yudhim Umidas, right? That part about Notzer Chesed Lalafim, which we get in the Yudhim Umidas, comes from Osei Chesed Lalafim, Lo Avai L'Shomer Mitzvosai. Similarly, the part about Kokeda V'Ramos Olanim V'Chanivanim, and the 13 attributes literally comes from the 10 commandments. Okay, so Chazal clearly saw this. If he doesn't read, you see this, right? But the question is, what do we make of this? What do we make of the fact that part of the Yudhim Umidas showed up earlier in the 10 commandments? The mystery deepens if you look at each of these documents on their own. Oh, I'm sorry. Goodness gracious, that is quite a mic there. Is it hard for people to hear?
Just for live stream.
Oh, you're live streaming this. Okay. This feels, this is kind of, can you make it softer? Because it's got feedback. And, you know what I mean? How about if we put it over there? Like that. That's better. Much better. Excellent. Okay? Okay, you guys with me? So far, so good? Okay. So here's the thing. Pretend you didn't know this. Pretend you didn't know that the 10 Commandments were connected to the Yiddish Midas. And you're just reading the second command, and you come across this language. I want you to just talk to me for a minute about the tone of the second command, the tone of this language. How does the tone feel in the Ten Commandments, and how does it feel in the Yiddish Midas? You understand? So just talk to me about tone. So here you are, you're reading through the second command, and you say, Lo sa'aseh lecha pesel v'chol tzmuna. You should not make any idols. Asher on earth, not in the water under the sea. You shall not bow to them. You shall not serve them. You know why? Ki anochi Hashem Elokecha kel kana. Because me, I am a vengeful, jealous God. Poked avon avos albanim. I visit the sins of fathers upon children, on third generations, on fourth generations. It's not really a live stream. It's actually a candid camera that's trying to figure out like what's going to happen when the guy who puts this here leaves, and we have to figure out how to deal with the feedback loop. Okay. Anyway, so you're reading this through. What does it feel like? I'm a jealous God. I visit the sins of fathers upon children. If you're one of the ones who love me, I do chesed for generations. Give me the overall tone of how are you feeling when you read these words? Talk to me. Scared. You're feeling scared. Why? Because the words feel to you like a threat, right? The overall tone is threat. You better not mess with me. I'm a jealous, vengeful God. I'm going to take it out on your children. It's going to be problems for you, right? Now, what's your name? Rafi Moses. Rafi, why did you say it was a threat? Didn't you read that part at the end about Oseh Chesed Lalafim? That God does chesed for 1,000 generations, lo abai, to those who love him?
In context, so that's kind of like a qualification. Like, yes, I'm going to punish you to do this, but if you do right, I'm going to go.
Exactly. Rafi's correct. It is an inclusio. It's like a parenthetical clause. It's a qualification at the end. But the overall sense is threat, right? What this is about is don't mess with me. Do not worship idols. It's a very bad idea. No worshiping idols. No bowing to them. No nothing. No dealing with idols. I'm a vengeful God. I'm not going to take this lying down. You're going to pay for it. Your kids are going to pay for it. Everyone's going to pay for it. By the way, I do chesed lalafim. We'll talk about that later, right? That's the sense of it. Okay, now listen to how exactly the same words appear in the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim, but the tone is different, given the context. So God passes over Moshe. Vayikran, he says, you know who I am? You wanted me to reveal my essence to you? I'll reveal my essence to you. Here's who I am. Hashem. I am the God of Hashem. Kel Racham V'Chanun. I'm a gracious God. I'm a compassionate God. I'm a gracious God. Erech Apayim. I'm slow to anger. Rav Chesed. I'm full of kindness. And I prize truth. Notzer Chesed Lalafim. I will watch carefully over Chesed for 1,000 generations. Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chata. I will bear sin, iniquity, and transgression. V'Nakeh. But to entirely cleanse that? Lo Yinakeh. I will not entirely cleanse transgression. There is a price to be paid for transgression, but it's only until 4 generations, right? It's until 4 generations. Right after Notzach Hazalavim. Do you notice how, right? What's the tone now?
The tone is a lot more merciful.
Very merciful, right? If there's any, instead the qualification at the end is Poked Avon Avos Albanim, right? Even though I'm basically a merciful God, and what defines me is I'm merciful, I'm slow to anger, Nosei Avon V'Fesha. Notice that Nosei Avon V'Fesha V'Chata did not appear in the 10 Commandments, right? That part, that's new. So God is saying, look, I'm a gracious God. When it comes to sin, I can deal with sin. I can bear sin. It's chesed for 1,000 generations. You should just know that sin can't be entirely wiped clean, right? There is a residue. There's a mark up to 4 generations.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that it could be even mitigating the punishment by saying that won't be completely forgiven. It might be spread out over Maybe
Yes.
that'll make it even less
Right. In
intense.
other words, what John was pointing out is a very good point that Menake lo Yinake has a side of Rachamim in it, right? Because what's the alternative, right? In other words, it could be that there's some sort of stopgap measure where there's a punishment, but it is gradually released over generations, because if you didn't gradually release it over generations and it was immediate now, what would happen? Everyone would get wiped out, which is the story of the ego, right? Where God is like, I'll wipe everybody out, right? And so there can be a benefit to Poked Avon Avos Albanim. It's a way of releasing sin perhaps over time. Okay, so my point just is, at this point, if we had more time, there's many mysteries that we could ponder in the relationship between the Ten Commandments and the Yud Gilul Midos, and we are not going to exhaust all of those mysteries tonight. For the time being, although it would be fun to do that with you one day, right? For the time being, all we're going to do is note a simple truth, which just seems to be true, which is that the ideas are changing. Do you understand that there is a certain view of Poked Avon Avos Albanim, which, if you're reading Shmos 19, the story of the Ten Commandments, you get the scared threat view of this. But if you fast forward a few prakim into the actual Egel, which actually, if you think about it, what really is why should these words appear in these two texts? Like, what do they have in common? What in the world would the Ten Commandments have to do with the Yud Gilul Midos Rachim? And what is the common denominator? The answer, why Dafka, the second commandment of the Ten Commandments, why is that reappearing in Yud Gilul Midos?
Hashem says don't worship any other gods, and then they Dafka.
They Dafka did it. Literally, when they were supposed to be accepting the tablets that said, don't worship any other gods, what were they doing? They were worshiping other gods. They were literally violating the second command as the second command was being given to Moshe on the top of Har Sinai. So you would think, so in a way, the Yud Gilul Midos comes as a surprise, doesn't it? Because if you just read the Ten Commandments and you were thinking like, oh boy, like God really does not go for idolatry. He is like totally opposed to idolatry. Can't even imagine what would happen if people actually worshipped idols, right? And then, like, literally, the entire nation worships idols. Not only do they do that, they do it when they're supposed to be accepting the Torah, right as that second command is, right? You would think, okay, what's going to happen now? You would think, like, okay, that's it, right? It's over. I mean, God just said He's a vengeful God. He's lo yinak, right? It's a disaster. All of a sudden, you don't need to come along, and it's like Lamaisa, when it actually happens, it's different. The same words are there, but it's different, right? Almost as if, like, what's happening? Is this evolving? Are we seeing is God changing? Are we seeing a side to God which is deeper, which we only saw the surface of it in the Ten Commandments? We don't know yet, but we do know that things are changing. There's an evolution in these ideas. So this is the first clue that the ideas of forgiveness are evolving. The second clue comes from another aspect of meta-context when we look at the Yud Gilul Midos, because it turns out there is another source for all of this language. This idea of nosei avon v'fesha v'chata v'nakeh, this idea of poked avon avos albanim, al shilei shim bal reveim, you've heard all of it before, long before the Ten Commandments. You've heard it somewhere else. Now, the corner piece here, the real clue that this is true, the thing that should jog you, that's going to hit you, and it's like, oh my gosh, how could I not have noticed this, right, is the word shileshim. The word for the third generation is shileshim. God will be poked avon avos al shileshim al ribeim. Shileshim is a relatively unusual word in the Torah. It doesn't happen much, right? This word for the third generation. It occurs in the Yud Gilul Midos Rachim and in the Ten Commandments, where we have this idea of God visiting punishment on the third generation. And it appears nowhere else in the entire Chamisha Kumshei Torah, save for one other place. What is the only other place that the word Shileshim appears? The story of Yosef. The very end of the story of Yosef. The very end of the story of Yosef tells us that Yosef lived a happy life in Egypt. He got to watch his great-grandchildren playing on the knees of Ephraim and Manasseh. He got to see their grandchildren, Machir ben Manasseh. He got to see the third generation. And the word that's used for the third generation of Yosef is Shileshim. Vayar Yosef le'Ephraim b'nei Shileshim. Gam b'nei Machir ben Manasseh yuldu al birkei Yosef. Now, if it was only the word Shileshim, and I said to you, isn't that interesting? The word Shileshim, it appears in the Yirgel Midas Arachamim. It also happens to appear in one other place in the Yosef story, right? And, you go home tonight and you call your parents or you talk to your friends and they say, oh, you went to these Hoshana Rabba Shirim. What did Foreman say? You say, oh, well, he mentioned there's this, you've given me this Arachamim, but there's this word that appears earlier in the Yosef story. So it's and then your friend says, well, is that a big deal? Is it not a big deal? You say, well, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me, right? Because it's just one word. It seems like it's just one word. Who really cares? It could be random, but it's not just one word. It's this whole thing. For example, you see that part about Poked Avon Avos Abanim, right? Does the word Poked remind you of anything in the Yosef story? It's literally the next verse in the Yosef story. Look at the next verse. Vayomer Yosef alachav anochi meis va'alokim pakod yifkod. You got that? Pakod yifkod estem. God is eventually going to redeem you and bring you out of the land to the land that I'm going to bring you to, right? Similarly, that language of Nose Avon V'Pesha V'Chatav V'Nakei, that also appears in the Yosef story. It's a whole menagerie of related words that are appearing in the Yosef story. Because what's this whole story at the end of Bereshis about? It's the story of the brothers who asked forgiveness of Yosef. And they came and they said, Sana Pesha Achacha V'Chatason Kirag Malucha. Right? Could you please bear the sin and the iniquity of your brothers, right? Please, this is what we're asking you to do. So all of this language appears in the Yosef story. And the question is, why? What do we make of this? Now, if you look at, so to figure this out, you got to sort of look at the Yosef story. What I want to do with the balance of our time is do two things. Take a quick look with you at this story in the Yosef story, and then take a quick look at you at the context for the Yirgel Midas Arachim. And then I think we're going to understand what's going on here. Let's look at the Yosef story first. What's happening in the Yosef story? This request for forgiveness. What became of this request for forgiveness? Also, would you say this is a traditional request for forgiveness? Put yourself in Yosef's shoes for a moment. How do you feel about this request for forgiveness? Let's set the context. Vayiru acha Yosef kimes avihem. The brothers saw that their father had died, right? Everyone had lived together in Mitzrayim now for 17 years, and finally Yaakov dies. The brothers see that Yaakov dies, Vayomru, and they say amongst themselves, Lu yistamenu Yosef. Maybe Yosef is bearing this terrible grudge against us. Vashev yashivanu es kol hara asher gmalanu otav. And now he's going to take revenge for all of the evil that we did to him over his lifetime. And so therefore they came to Yosef and they said the following thing. Vayitzavu al Yosef, they commanded Yosef, Lamor. And they came to him with a command. And that command was, we have a message to deliver to you from Dad. Not just any message, a command from Dad. Avicha tziva lifnei moso. You may not be aware of this, Yosef, but just before Dad died, okay, he issued a command. And that command was, he told us to tell you, Kotomru Yosef, so we're speaking in his name. He says, Sana pesha achacha v'chatason. Could you please bear the sin and iniquity of your brothers, Kirag Malucha, because they did evil to you. So we're just asking you if you'd be willing to honor this deathbed command of your father, Yosef. You're Yosef. How do you feel? Talk to me.
Faith. They're trying to, oh, your father told us, if our father told us that they can't kill us now. It's like a fake saying sorry, not just saying sorry, and avoid being killed.
Right, so like you think, like I'm thinking, you guys just want to avoid being killed, right? And why are you thinking that? Like, give me your reasons for being suspicious. Give me your top 3 reasons for being suspicious.
They're not saying that the father told them sorry. Like, the father told them not to kill him. They're not even saying sorry for themselves. They're saying that, like,
Right, so first of all, they're not even apologizing. They're just saying, Dad says you're supposed to forgive us, right? That's the first thing. So where's the apology if you're sorry, right? Okay, what else?
like they kind of tried to kill him also. Like,
What?
They tried to kill him. Like, I'll give you shit. Like,
Who tried to kill who?
Yosef.
Yosef?
Like, the brother tried to kill Yosef.
The brothers tried to kill Yosef.
This.
So the brothers tried to kill me before, and now they're coming, and they're not even really apologizing, right? Okay, what else? Give me another reason to be suspicious.
They only came to apologize after. Yeah.
Oh, isn't it interesting? We spent 17 years together, and we never had this discussion, but Dad dies, and all of a sudden we had this discussion. Give me another reason to be suspicious. Go ahead, Rafi? Rafi?
Why would not talk to you as a drug?
Yeah, you know the story, the Hasidic Rebbe who dies, and like the 2 brothers are fighting over who's going to be the next Rebbe, and then one day one of the brothers says, "It's settled. I had a dream last night. Father came to me in a dream and said, I'm supposed to be the next Rebbe." So if you were his opponent, what would you say? If Dad really wanted you to be the next Rebbe, he should have come to me in a dream and told me that. You understand? Not you, right? So if Dad really wanted me to forgive you, don't you think he should have told me and not you? So for all of these reasons, all of the reasons you've suggested, there is good reason for Yosef to be suspicious of these motives. It's not even really an apology. By the way, if you take anything from this talk in terms of something practical, learn from this what not to do Erev Yom Kippur. What do we all do Erev Yom Kippur? We go to our friends, what do we say?
Apologize.
Would you be mochel me? Now I just want you to realize that asking someone, would you be mochel me, is not the same thing as apologizing to them for something you did wrong. Do you understand the difference between those 2 things? Asking someone to be mochel you without apologizing is illegitimately shifting the burden of moral responsibility onto them. They're the jerk for not forgiving you. Do you understand? Now you are not coming clean about anything you did. You're not even saying you did anything wrong. You're just saying, I think you should be mochel me. Do you understand? That's a little bit of what Yosef must have been feeling at the time, but even more. We never had this discussion? It's not even true. Rashi said it wasn't true, it was a lie, but the brothers justified the lie because Hoshana mipnei hashalom. You can lie to keep the peace, which, by the way, is an abject lesson in all the times you've ever lied to keep the peace. Maybe the lie prolonged the war, and if you just told the truth, maybe you actually would have had peace. So over here, you have a seemingly a really problematic lie. What's Yosef's response? Yosef's response, Vayef Yosef b'davra me'elav. Yosef cries. All right, what do you make of his tears? Maybe this is good news. He cries, he's sad, right? It's a kumbaya moment, everyone hugs, and it's all gone. Is that how you feel about Yosef's tears? What's the other option to interpret Yosef's tears other than he's so moved and wants to forgive them? Why else might he be crying?
Despair. He realized that he's never going to get power.
Absolutely, despair. Because until now, how did I live for the last 17 years? Do you understand? I compartmentalized the trauma, right? I took these memories of being thrown in the pit, I shoved them off into a side of my psyche, and I decided I'm going to be nice to my brothers, right? I'm going to feed them, and I was nice to my brothers, and they're sort of nice to me. And we smile when we pass each other in the hallways, and we get together for Thanksgiving, right? And things more or less kind of work out. Do you understand? But that works because I'm compartmentalizing the trauma, I'm not really thinking about it. All of a sudden, after 17 years, you come to me and you say, we got to talk. Well, when you say we got to talk, what am I thinking? You're coming to apologize. So how am I feeling?
Happy.
I'm feeling hopeful, right? Maybe this is going to work. Along come the brothers, and Dad commanded you to bear our sin. Would you like to do Dad's deathbed command? Now how do you feel? This is terrible. Do you understand? It's worse than before. You got my hopes up, and now I'm living in this little box of trauma because I opened the door thinking it was all going to be resolved, but it's not resolved, so I'm crying out of despair and anguish because I'm back in the box with my nightmares now, right? So what happens next? Vayelchu gam echav vayiplu lefanav. So at that point, Vayelchu gam echav vayiplu lefanav vayamru hinenu lechal avadim. The brothers, they come and they fall before Yosef and they say, let us be your slaves. Now why did they do that? Why did they say, let us be your slaves?
It's reciprocation. They put Yosef in slavery.
Reciprocation. Do you understand? What did they do to him? They sold him into slavery. So if they're talking about reciprocation, what did they just understand, at least subconsciously?
Yosef, assuming they didn't really forgive them and he wants payback.
They understood that this plea didn't really work. Do you understand? Because the whole point of an apology is to avoid reciprocation, is to have some sort of reset, right? But they sense that there's something wrong with Yosef's tears, that this is not a reset. So they're still worried about vengeance, so what's their other option? Like, look, all right, tit for tat, let us be your slaves. What was Yosef's response? Vayomer aleim Yosef, al tirou ki atachas Elokim ani. What a very interesting response. They just said, let us be your slaves. What was Yosef's answer?
You should be.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
What? Am I God to judge you? Now notice, was that yes or was that no?
It's yes. Really, you should be the slaves, but
So it's neither yes nor no. Do you understand? It's not yes or no. It's like, who is me to be the judge? Right? Atachas Elokim ani? Is it up to me? I'm not the judge of such things, whether you should be slaves. And then he says something really interesting. He starts talking about God. Vatem chashavtem alai ra. Look, guys, you thought you were doing something really bad to me when you threw me in the pit. You were thinking to do really evil things to me when you threw me in that pit. But you know what? Here's the bright side of things. Elokim, talking about God, Elokim chashva latova. Look at God. He made it work out well. It was all basher. He made it work out where it was all part of his plan, Laman asak hayom hazeh, to bring us to this day, lachayot amrav, because there was this famine. And now look, I'm in charge of Egypt. I can make you into a great nation by feeding you. It was all part of God's plan. So how does that connect to, just connect the dots here. I'm asking you to connect the dots. The brothers came, Yosef cried. The brothers then were nervous about those tears. So they said, let us be your slaves. Yosef is like, it ain't up to me, it's up to God. And then he starts this theological meditation. What's his point? His point is, it ain't up to me, it's up to God. And if we wanted to surmise how God sees this all, what is Yosef offering? Maybe it's okay. Maybe God thinks it's fine because yes, it's true. You thought you were doing something really evil and terrible to me, but God had his own plan. God took that and made him into this wonderful thing. It was all basher. So if you want my opinion as to whether you guys should worry about that whole slavery thing, right? Because it ain't up to me, it's up to God, and we're trying to figure out what God's thinking. What's Yosef saying? Guys, it's probably okay, right? Because look, it was all basher. It was all part of God's plan. Va'ata al tiro. And now don't worry, guys. Anochi al eschem. I'll take care of you. At tapchem, I'll take care of your children. Vayinachem osam vayidaber alima. And he spoke kindly to them and comforted them. Imagine you were a reporter having an exit interview with Yosef after this story. And you asked him this question. How did the conversation go? What would Yosef tell you at this point? Did you forgive him? What would Yosef say? Okay, so you say you didn't forgive him, but that wasn't my question. My question wasn't if Yosef forgave him or not. My question is, what would Yosef say in the exit conversation?
it's not my job.
What?
What's the point? it's not his job to forgive them. No?
Yes. But do you notice the switch in tone? At the beginning of the conversation, Yosef is crying. At the end of the conversation, Yosef's comforting them. Interestingly, who's the guy who needs comfort? Yosef was the one crying, but Yosef's comforting them. Yosef's comforting them because he senses that they're fearful, right? But it's quite possible that if you interviewed Yosef now, after he tried to be so compassionate to his brothers, he would have said, "Of course, I forgave them. I was as nice as I could possibly be. I'm taking care of them. I was taking, But what about? But did you really forgive them? Did you really I don't know, forgive them, not forgive them? What do you want? I told him that it wasn't really up to me. Is it up to me? It's up to God. But it probably is. It's Basherta. It's good, and I put the best possible face on it. But the truth of the matter, stepping away from the exit interview, is that the truth of the matter is different than what Yosef might himself say in that exit interview. Because you, as reader, looking at what happened, if we now ask you, not Yosef, did Yosef forgive him? What's the answer? He did not forgive them. When they offered Hinenu l'chal avadim, he did not say no. He did not say that, no, that's unnecessary. There's all water under the bridge. I forgive you. I love you. Everything is good. He didn't say that. He said, it ain't up to me. It's up to God. So the question is, how do you make sense of this story? This is the last story in Bereshis. How do we make sense? All of Bereshis has been building up to this last story. And the Yud Gimel Midas are coming from this story. How do we make sense of this? This is our first real encounter, isn't it? With the question of forgiveness. This is the first real back and forth exchange with people about whether there's going to be forgiveness for a crime. Can you think of another? Never really happened with Cain and Havel, right? Never really happened with Yishmael and Yitzchak. Never really happened with Avram, right? When else was there another? I can't think of one. This is really the first great forgiveness conversation. And isn't it fascinating how inconclusively it ends? But there's never a forgiveness well, there sort of is. Yes, there's the giving of gifts there, right? What's that? Let's get together. Yep. That's true. That's true, but it's less explicit. The real explicit forgiveness conversation. So here's the thing. When Yosef said, it ain't up to me, it's up to God, the question is, what did God say? The interesting thing is that when Yosef says, it was all bashert, it was all providential, so that we could come to this day and I could feed you and make you into an Am Rav. Those words, Am Rav, they have a rather ominous echo, don't they? Am Rav, Am Rav. When do you next hear those words, Am Rav? Who says Am Rav? Paro says Am Rav. You turn the page from Bereshis into Shmos, and guess what? Everybody's slaves. Isn't that interesting? There was this offer of slavery on the table, and you turn the page, and 4 generations later, everybody's slaves. How remarkable. And how did they get to become slaves? Because of Paro's paranoia. What fed Paro's paranoia? A population explosion. How did that population explosion happen? It happened because Yosef took care of his brothers and fed his brothers bread and took care of them and their little ones. And there was lechem lefiataf when there wasn't enough bread for the Egyptians. So what happened? Bnei Yisrael paru, vayishritzu, right? Vayatzmu demod ma'od. And along comes Paro, quoting Yosef's words, and says, Hine am b'nei Yisrael, Rav va'atzum mimenu. These guys are an Am Rav. It's almost as if you want to know what God said, when Yosef said, it's up to God, like if I'm God, it's like, I didn't think this was up to me. Why is this up to me? It's like, these guys threw him in a pit. They're trying to reconcile. It's like, it's up to you. Are you guys going to reconcile or are you not going to reconcile? Are you going to apologize? Are you going to accept the apology? What do I have to do to this? Fine. But you say it's up to me. So what do we have? We have sort of kind of a request for forgiveness, but not really. A request to bear this sin and not take revenge. Yosef doesn't say yes, he doesn't say no. He says it's up to me as to decide this issue of whether the brothers should be slaves. There's an offer of slavery on the table. Oh, there's an offer of slavery on the table? Yosef doesn't say yes, he doesn't say no, he says it's up to me. I guess we could do slavery. And lo and behold, 4 generations later, everybody's slaves. How are they slaves? Through Yosef thought everything was fine because I'm going to make you into an Amrav, because it was all hashgacha. What he doesn't see is the next wave of hashgacha, which is Egyptian slavery, right? Clamping down shut on them. It all happens because really there was never an apology. This was the beginnings of a forgiveness conversation, but it died on the rocks. But it's the first explicit forgiveness conversation there is. And then these words show up, and they show up in the Yid Gimel Midas Harachim. Fascinating. These words about bearing sin, the first people that asked for bearing sin were the brothers to Yosef in the name of their father. And it shows up here in the Yid Gimel Midas Harachim. These words about the third generation was the third generation with Yosef. What do we make of all that? I don't know for sure, but for starters, if you want to know when the first time the sins of fathers were visited upon children, it might well be Egyptian slavery. Here was this sin of the fathers. They had done this to Yosef, and that sin never got resolved. It just hung in the air after this inconclusive conversation. Yosef, in a way, did bear the sin. And here I want to ask you, what does it mean to bear sin? Sometimes we confuse all the different words for forgiveness, but there's one phrase here which is very specific. Bearing sin, nose avon, sana lepesha avdei Eloi avicha. Please bear this sin. What does it mean to bear the sin? What exactly were the brothers asking of Yosef when they said, could you bear this sin? Dad says you're supposed to bear the sin. Anyone want to explain that to me? What does that mean? Is that the same as forgiving? No. So what does bear sin mean? To carry sin. Could you carry the sin?
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Because you're about to take upon yourself a terrible burden. You see, the way sin works is that you've got these scales, relationships between people. They desire to be in consonance with everything, but every once in a while they get out of balance. And when they get out of balance, it's uncomfortable when our relationship is out of balance, which is the drive for vengeance. Do you understand? Because at least if I took revenge against you, you did something against me, the scales would be balanced. It would be tit for tat. Now, we do have a way, eventually, of resolving this called an apology and forgiveness. But short of that, there's another notion, which is, if I know that I've done something to someone, and it's there, and our relationship is out of balance, what if I came to that someone, like the brothers came to Yosef, and said, Dad says that you're supposed to bear the sin? What that means is, there's no reconciliation, do you understand? There's no apology. It's not like the sin has gone away. The burden of the sin is there. But who's going to carry the burden? Instead of the burden expressing itself in vengeance, what they're saying is, do not take vengeance. Instead, let you be the side of the scale that's weighed down, take a deep breath, and literally carry the weight of that sin. For how long? Forever. You're going to carry it. And then your kids are going to carry it because they're going to hear about what happened. And your grandkids are going to carry it. And don't pretend this is not going to be transgenerational. It is. Bearing sin, it's a lot to carry. Do you understand that? It affects generations when it doesn't go away. In a way, think about the injustice to Yosef. It's a fascinating thing. How did Yosef go down to Mitzrayim? Do you remember who took Yosef down to Mitzrayim? Who took Yosef down to Mitzrayim? Remember that he's in the pit, What do the brothers see when they're having lunch?
Orchos Shmuel.
They see an Orchos Yishmaelim Ba'im Megilad. And what is happening with, oh my goodness, right. And what is happening with that Orchos Yishmaelim? They're nosim nechot sri balot. They're carrying these things down to Egypt. And they end up carrying Yosef down to Egypt. And that's the beginning of the sin, the carrying of Yosef down to Egypt. And now the brothers, instead of apologizing for having Yosef carried down to Egypt, says, could you just carry that sin for us? It's like carrying square. Not only did I get carried down to Egypt, now I have to carry the sin of being carried down to Egypt. Do you understand? And Yosef basically does carry that sin. He basically does carry that sin. It looks like I'm out of time from the expression on Rabbi Tarragon's face. So I understand. So let me, and I didn't get to the end of this, which really bothers me. But let me cut to the chase, because I'm not going to be able to have the time to give you the context, unfortunately, within the story of the Egel itself, which is really pretty important. So let me leave you with just 2 minutes, Rabbi Tarragon, by just saying the following. What's fascinating is that if you look at the whole back and forth in the aftermath of the Egel, when Moshe's talking to God, begging to have the Jewish people survive, remember what's going to happen. God's going to wipe them out. He's literally going to wipe them out. And at a certain point, Moshe says something incredibly daring. Maybe the most daring thing Moshe ever says. He says, Ana chata amazah chata gdola. These people have sinned a terrible sin. And you, God, have a choice. Im tisa chatasam. You can bear their sin. You can carry their sin. You have that choice. You can do it. Vim ayin. But if not, you can forget about this whole business of starting over with me, because I'm going with them. So if you're going to destroy them, I'm part of the people. You're going to have to destroy me too, and that's your choice. And God kind of grumbles and says, fine, you win. But you should know something. There'll be a malach who goes before you. A malach will take you into the land. I can't take you into the land. My relationship with the people is not strong enough for that. And you should know that ubiyom pakti upakadati aleim chatasam. Whenever I visit the people, right? Whenever I visit them, whenever in moments of intimacy between me and them, pakadati aleichem chatasam, I will be poked upon them the effects of their sin. This is the beginning of poked avon avos avanim. And here's the argument I want to make to you. What did Moshe ask for? Did Moshe ask for forgiveness? He did not. And that's the key. He asked God to bear the sin. The same way the brothers asked Yosef to bear the sin. Asking someone to bear a sin is not the same thing as asking for forgiveness. The sin is still there. It's all there in all of its power. I just shift the burden to you and say, could you just not take revenge unnaturally? God says, look, if that's what you're asking for, I can do that. I can be nosei avon. I can do that, but there's a price. Don't think that bearing sin doesn't have consequences. It has transgenerational consequences. It's going to affect my relationship, not just with you, but my relationship with your children, with your children's children. It's going to affect relationships over time. And that idea is codified in the second commandment, and it comes back again here. At a certain point in the discussion, God comes to Moshe and says, I really need to know who you are. Tell me who you are. And God reveals himself essentially as a God of compassion. And when God reveals the depths of his compassion, right, and still says, look, I can be nosei avon v'fesha v'chatav v'nakeh. In essence, God is answering Moshe and saying, you're asking me to bear sin? I'm telling you I'm good at that. I can do that. But all I'm going to do is what you asked me. If that's what you want, I can do that. But you should know there's no such thing as bearing sin without it expressing itself over generations. I'll even do better than Yosef. With Yosef tried to bear that sin for 4 generations. For 4 generations, things are good. What happened in the 4th generation? Bang! An explosion. Everyone was slaves. Catastrophe for 400 years. I'm not even going to do that. Instead, I'll just let the effects of sin slowly seep out over generations, over 4 generations. But that's merciful. It's better than destroying them. But that's what I do. I can't do more than what you've asked of me. Moshe's response at that point is actually, and with this I'll close, is actually the biggest act of chutzpah than Moshe ever has. An act that's even bigger, that's even more chutzpah than Macheni Nami Sifra. It's the words that we have in Slichos. And it is the words that he comes and says, if it's really true that you're that compassionate, I realize I asked for the wrong thing. This whole time, you intimidated me, God. You said you were so mad you were going to destroy the people because they were an Am Kshei Oref. You couldn't look at them because they were an Am Kshei Oref. You would have to have a Malach take them through because they're an Am Kshei Oref. I'm now going to have the temerity, the gall, to stand before you and to bow before you and then to say these words. Vayomer, Inna matzasi chen beinecha, Yelech na Hashem b'kirbeinu. This whole business about the Malach, because you can't stand to be with the people, that's not acceptable. We don't want a Malach to take us. We need you. And we don't need you leading us. We need you, Yelech na Hashem b'kirbeinu. We need you right inside of us. You know why we need that? Ki am kshei oref. Ki am kshei oref. We need you to look our flaw in the eye, our essential character flaw that gave rise to this terrible sin that you want to destroy us for. We can do tshuva on that sin. We can say we're sorry, but the one thing we can't do is undo the flaw that was the source of that sin. We are an Am Kshei Oref, and we need you to recognize that and to walk with us having recognized that, because it is not okay to have a relationship with someone and pick and choose their qualities. People are an indivisible whole. We are we, you are you, and you are you. And you come with lots of good qualities and you come with flaws. And whoever decides to love you is going to have to love you for who you are, with your essential character flaws as part of that package. And we're no different. And why I'm asking you to walk with us in full knowledge of this terrible thing that we're an Am Kshei Oref. That's what I want from you. And I'm coming up with a new word. The salafta la'avoneinu l'chatatenu l'chatanu. I don't want you to bear our chet and avon. I want you to do something else. I want you to forgive it. This is the first time that word ever appears in the Torah. Moshe made up the word. He came up with a new idea. Accept who we are and let it go. Don't bear the sin. Let it go. Accept the apology and let it go. And God eventually and implicitly says yes, and in Bamidbar specifically says yes. Salachti kidvarecha. I agree to this new idea that you come up with, this idea called slicha, just as you've asked. And that's the Vesham Ne'emar. And what Chazal are doing in the slichos is putting this together, because at the end of the day, it's not v'nakeh lo yinakeh, toked avon avot. That's only if you ask me to bear the sin. Once Moshe comes and says there's a new game in town, we're playing this game a whole new way, I'm suggesting that there's this whole new idea and asking you, God, to go along with it, and God says, fine. That says there's something new in the world. It's called slicha. It's called actual forgiveness. And therefore, the effect of the God's rachmim and Givyon Midas is the nakeh without the lo yinakeh and toked avon avos. Slicha is possible, and we have Moshe to thank for it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to take that. Okay. Is this mine? This is mine.
That's yours, yes.
Was it that Yosef poured the sin on the and then they became slaves? So 4 generations.
The answer is because.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All I can speculate is because that was Yosef's lifetime. In other words, as long as Yosef was alive, he was able to bear that sin. Once Yosef is alive, so what God is like, okay, if you want to bear this sin, as long as you're alive, we can make that happen. Right? But what about once you die? Did your children ever bear that sin? What about that? And I'm still the judge around here, and you might have decided to bear the sin. And I'll tell you very well as long as you're alive.
papers? Okay. That's it? Thanks.
v'chomer ben benoshal kal v'chomer over what happened the past couple hundred years. Message number one, I'm going to start with. Number two. Second idea, again, what's our original question? Why do we have a holiday, the Ananei HaKavod? Why do we have a holiday? We're up to number 11. Why do we have a holiday for the Ananei HaKavod, Sukkot, and we don't have a holiday for the air and the month? The first answer was because we didn't need the Ananei HaKavod. That was extra. 1 second. Rabbi Simon quotes in the Sefer on Sukkot. Quotes from Achronim. Is that really true? We didn't need the Ananei HaKavod? What do you mean we didn't need the Ananei HaKavod? You're in the desert. Snakes and scorpions and dangerous heat and freezing at night. What do you mean we didn't need the Ananei HaKavod? Okay, it wasn't bread and water, but we didn't need it. We needed it. So what's the Mabit talking about? So you have to say, he quotes this from Achronim. B'tzorach Lomar, source 11. Sha'asu lahem Yisrael b'midbar sukkos maseh Adam. Everybody agrees that in the midbar we also made physical huts. And that afforded us basic protection from the elements. Hashem, with the Ananei HaKavod, gave us super protection. Our basic, we made the huts, and that protected us on a basic level. So it wasn't needed. Eladi Yisrael, Baruch went above and beyond and gave us super protection with the Ananei HaKavod. I think there's a message from here, a second idea, and that is, this allows us to think about the difference. The man and the air were total HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We had nothing to do with it. Man came from heaven. Water came from Hashem. Regarding our protection, we took part in our own redemption. We teamed up with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when a man teams up with Hashem to bring salvation, there's nothing greater than this. Many in the Parsha of Rabba, we say every single day of our life, Az Yashir Moshe, the Shira that Klal Yisrael said at Kriyas Yamsuf. And the question that Rishonim asked, why did we sing it in Kriyas Yamsuf? Why did we sing it after the Horus? We only saw the Kriyas Yamsuf? Oh, the 10 Makkos weren't enough. Kriyas Mitzrayim, Vayichan Kal B'Shono. Why did we sing only later? Because up until that point, and this is what the Meshech Chachma says, in Source 13, up until that moment of Kriyas Yamsuf, it was all Hashem. We had nothing to do with it. We were undeserving. We didn't take the first step. We were sitting ducks in Mitzrayim. We had no zechuyos. It was all Hashem. Every makkah and makkah tefolah and everything. So it's amazing, but it doesn't call for Shira. Kriyas Yamsuf. But what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say? Moshe says, Hashem, what are we supposed to do? The water's in front of us. The Mitzrayim are behind us. What does Hashem say? What are you screaming at me for? Tell him to go. You can go. There's an ocean in front of us. What do you mean go? Tell them to go. Says the Meshech Chachma, that was a moment in history that changed forever the relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe ein lam Yisrael el Elisa, says the Meshech Chachma. Nira de Mefarish, D'chol b'nei Yisrael, Achrei Moshe, Kitzon b'bika achar aroa. Up until that moment, we were like sheep following the shepherd. We were this little shepherd just going across, and Moshe's leading us. Go here, go there. Amnam bayam, Hashem says, enough being sheep. You got to take charge a little bit of your life. Siv HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe she'yisa acharei ha'am. Let the am go first. Behema be'emunasam yo'yelchu b'toch hayam u'b'zchus hanesiya. They're taking part. So that's something that is different. That's what the doctor said Shira at a time when they participate. Rav Soloveitchik says, isn't it fascinating that if we knew exactly, and some say we know, but let's say we would go to Har Sinai today, in the Sinai desert, the place where the Torah was given, guess what? We'd be able to run a football practice. Because it has no Kedusha today. Har Sinai has no Kedusha today. And yet, right over there, a stone's throw away, we can't walk. Because the Har Moriah, the Kedusha is forever on our thighs. What's the difference? The Makom of that Messinas HaTorah? There's no Kedusha? What's the difference? Sense of salvation, because in Maimon Har Sinai it was all God. Hashem gave us the Torah. We received Har HaMoriah, Avinu did it. He imbued the Kedusha with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He was a shutif in the Mekadesh of Har HaMoriah. When we participate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's reason for Shira. That's reason for celebration. And that's a reason for a holiday. Because the other two, the Mun and the Be'er, it was all God. Our protection, the Ananei HaKavod, we built the sukkahs. We participated. And when we participate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's a reason for a holiday. So Vayichan gives other examples, which we're not going to go into. The Rabbi Eisenman from the Passaic, he has a sefer out, beautiful sefer of stories, quotes in there that a number of years ago, there was a terrible fire in the town. And he and a number of other Rabbanim came out with a achraza, they put it out in all the newspapers, that, there's a family that had a terrible fire, a bunch of kids, if anybody could help with anything, whatever you could do to help will be appreciated. And it was signed by 4 or 5 Rabbanim. And he writes in his book that a few months after this fire, he and 2 other Rabbanim went to visit this family that lost everything. They go to the family and they sit with them and they say that the community has been amazing and wonderful. It's unbelievable how the outpouring, Ein Kamo Am Yisrael, especially, and this is a made-up name, this is the name he uses in the book, especially Edith Bateman. Edith Bateman is an 85-year-old Holocaust survivor that lives on the other side of Edith Bateman. She comes every Monday, she takes all of our laundry, she brings it back on Thursday, folded and pressed and cleaned. I'm like, Edith, wow. He said, right after they went from that house, they went to the other side of town to find Edith Bateman. They go, like a rent-subsidized building on the other side of town, run down, no elevator, they walk up 10 flights of stairs, they walk into this apartment, it's boiling hot, and Edith Bateman, this older woman, who enters the door, she sees the Rabbanim there, she's like turning red, she's like, whoa, what's going on? They're like, calm down, calm, it's okay. They're like, we just wanted to talk to you a little bit. She's like, I don't have anything to give you, I'm so sorry. And they said, it's okay, we just want to talk to you for a few minutes. She's like, what? We heard that you help out the so-and-so family every week. And all of a sudden, she started to get a little embarrassed, but she started to have a little shock. Rabbi Eisenman writes, they're like, what, you do their laundry? She's like, yeah, every Monday I go there, I take 2 buses with my little shopping cart, I go there, I take all their clothes, I get back on the bus with it. They're like, isn't that a schlep? Isn't that hard? And she said, you don't understand. When I was in the camps, Rahman al-Islam, everything was terrible, but one of the worst things was the stench, was the smell. It was unbearable. Of clothing, of rotting flesh. It was terrible. I made a promise to myself. I said, if I make it out of here alive from Baruch Hu, my kids will always have freshly laundered, clean, beautiful smelling clothes. And I made it out. But Hashem never blessed me with children. So, I was never able to fulfill my promise. Until a few months ago. I saw that ad in the paper that you said, whatever you could do to help will be appreciated. I said, wow, here's my chance. And I went there and I took their clothes. And I cleaned them with love. And I, quote, I feel like the Kohen Gadol in the Kodesh Kodashim doing the Avodah on Yom Kippur. And Rabbi Vayichan said as the tears were rolling down their faces, Edith Bateman teamed up with HaKadosh Baruch to bring Geula to the city. When we participate, Ananei HaKavod, we celebrate that so many times we can participate in the Baruch to bring redemption, to bring help, to bring Yeshuas to others. That's second idea, Ananei HaKavod. Why is it different than the other two? The other two were taken from the Baruch. Here we participate. Here we just like Kriyas. And the third idea, third and final idea, the Chidah. The Chidah writes, the Chidah has many Sfarim. Chidah Chaim Yossi David Azulai. He wrote, they say, I think he wrote 71 Sfarim. He lived 71 years, one third year of his life, but I don't think he started at one or two. Must have caught up. But the Chidah writes in Rosh David, source 15. Adonai HaKavod Nesunim Hema B'li She'ela. The Mon and the Be'er came to us after we complained. We're thirsty. We want water. There's no water here. Hashem gives us the Be'er. We're hungry. We're starving. Hashem gives us the Mon. You complain. We complained for it and we got it. That's not a reason to sell it. The Ananei HaKavod, we didn't complain. We didn't complain about anything to demerit the Ananei HaKavod. Masha'ein halachma v'Ananei HaKavod b'li she'ela. Masha'ein halachma v'hamay yenosan lahem na'asvita lahem ayei she'ela. B'tzvuna v'taromes. L'chein lo nistavinu lazo zecher ki Ananei HaKavod. Why didn't we ask for the Ananei HaKavod? Because there was an element of their need. Kadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim, and what does Yirmiyahu Hanavi say? Lech techachar b'midbar be'eretz lo zarua. We had a movement of the Baruch Hu to take care of us. We lost it sometimes. Sometimes we didn't lose the emunah. We kind of like lost ourselves for a moment, that we complained that we were misloaning. But deep down, a Jew's emunah is rock solid. And we know Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to take care of us. And it might be difficult and challenging, but He's going to take care of us. And it's that emunah that carried us into the desert without asking for protection from Baruch. And getting back to that same pasuk that we quoted earlier, there's an unreal Orach Chaim HaKadosh. I remember I heard this many years ago. The Rebbe Chaim Waxman spoke about this Orach Chaim. He says it's a scary one, but it shows you the power. The Orach Chaim on that pasuk. Remember the pasuk says, Moshe says to Hashem, Kriyas Yamsuf, what are we supposed to do? He starts davening to Hashem. What does Hashem say to him? What are you davening for? What are you davening for? Orach Chaim says, what are you davening for? What else does a Jew do when he desires? What do you mean? What are you davening for? What does Hashem mean by that? Ma titzach elai. Daber b'nei Yisrael v'yiso. Don't, now is not the time to daven. What do you mean it's not the time to daven? After Orach Chaim HaKadosh. What else is a Jew supposed to do? Surah 16. Kasha. Ulamu mi yitzach im lo Hashem elokav. U'v'ra be'isara. Says the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. And only he could say it. At the moment of Kriyas Yamsuf, as we know the Midrashim talk about, we started fighting with each other also, and there was Midas Hadin. Do we really deserve to be saved? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up a system of Din and Rachamim, and the Orach Chaim explains that HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself says, whatever this means, look at line 11, Ein hadavar tali biyadi. Hashem says, it's not only up to me to save you. I want to do a miracle for you. But because you're not so deserving, Midas Hadin is saying no. What's the only Eitzah that can overpower? A reflection of emunah that a Jew shows in me. If he connects himself to me in an ironclad way, then that bond can never be broken. And that will overcome and allow me to do a miracle. Go into the water. Go into your neck, go into your nose. And that reflection of the emunah will show and connect us that even Midas Hadin can't break things. That's the emunah of a Jew. That's the Ananei HaKavod. We didn't complain. And we were zochet to the Ananei HaKavod. Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, the great of this city. Sonnenfeld had a very difficult life. He had an amazing life, but he had 11 children, and 8 of them predeceased him. And he was once asked, how do you keep your strength? He says, you know what? When there's an earthquake, everyone's running for cover, you're running here, you don't know what's safe. If this building, that building, the only thing that's safe is that if there's a rope from on top You just hold the rope connecting you to heaven, and you hold the rope for dear life, so whatever's going on around, it's okay because you're holding onto that rope. It says Rabbi times on I just hold on to that rope of the moon, that rope of connection to the one above. So no matter what is going on around me, I'm strong. I hold it, and that allows me to continue. That's the emunah of the Jew, and that's the result of the Anani HaKavod. Because of that emunah. We didn't complain. We knew Hashem would take care of us. So we have three ideas about why the Anani HaKavod merit the holiday and not the other two, the man and the bear, as great as they were. Number one, because it's a miracle that wasn't needed. Hashem had to give us bread and water, basic necessities, in a miraculous way, because we're in the middle of the desert. But this one showed Hashem's unbelievable love for us. Number one. Number two, because we were Mishmar. Because we participated and teamed up with HaKadosh Baruch. And that itself is reason for Shira. Kriyas Yamsuf over Kriyas Mitzrayim, Har HaMoriah versus Har Sinai, Edith Bateman, and number three, because it reflects our strong emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Anani HaKavod. We didn't complain, we knew Hashem would take care of us. Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonathan, hold on to that one. If you think about all three answers, the first answer is about the godless of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his love for us. If you think about the third answer, it's about our godless. It's about the emunah that we have in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if you think about the second middle answer, it's about the beautiful partnership that we have with the one another. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us to team up with him, to partner with him, to be able to be an Or Lagoyim. And in Kiddush Hashem, so this is about showing to all the nations. It's about teaming up with HaKadosh Baruch Hu and being that light unto the nations. There was a chassid, maybe you've heard this before, there was a chassid that once came to the Baal Shem Tov. He said, Rebbe, I heard all these stories in the Gemara. I want to see Eliyahu Hanavi. I want to see Eliyahu Hanavi. And the Baal Shem Tov says, really, you do? Eliyahu Hanavi? Okay, he says, you know what? This Shabbos, go to the next town, and then you'll see Eliyahu Hanavi. That's simple. That's great. So he says, okay, great. So before Shabbos, he buys this big, huge fruit platter, because, you want to bring Eliyahu Hanavi something. So he goes to the next town, he goes Friday night, he goes to the shul, and he sees, he's looking on the Mizrach wall. Which one with the white beard? Maybe Sid. Maybe it's getting off on essay, maybe Sid. Who is it? I don't know. The beautiful davening, within the davening. There's davening, people start going out. Shabbos, they're pushing into Shabbos. He's there to the end. Shabbos says, I gotta close up. You have a place for Shabbos? I'll figure it out. He goes out, he's like, what was the Baal Shem Tov saying to me? What am I supposed to do? I need to place for Shabbos. So he goes to the first house that he sees next to the shul. He knocks on the door. Knock. This woman answers, like an almana with a bunch of kids. She's like, yes, can I help you? He's like, I'm supposed to be in a place for Shabbos, and I have this big fruit platter. And she's like, oh, come in. We'll find you a place. And he goes in. He feels really uncomfortable. After Shabbos, he goes back to Baal Shem Tov. Rebbe, he says, I went there for Shabbos. There was no Eliyahu Hanavi. He says, next Shabbos. You know, it's cautious from that. Okay, next Shabbos. So he goes next Shabbos, and again, he buys a big fruit platter, and he goes next Shabbos, and now they're starting to look at him like, funny, did you move in? I don't know, what's going on? I recognize you from last week. And doesn't see anybody new here. He's like, maybe somebody's going to, take off their shirt and say, I'm Eliyahu Hanavi. But same thing, same davening, same everything. He goes over, every Shabbos, he's place, I'm okay. Shabbos, what does the Baal Shem Tov want to do? Goes out. Okay. Goes to the first house again. Knocks on the door. The woman's like, he's like, exactly how this is up. He's like, it's fine, please, come in. Here, kids, find him a place to sit. And now he's like, what am I wasting my time? So he goes back to Baal Shem Tov after the second Shabbos. He says, Rebbe, I went a second time. Baal Shem Tov says, next Shabbos. Okay? Third Shabbos. He buys the big fruit platter, and he goes, and he starts going to the store, and now they're like, did you move in? Can you welcome me? Baruch haba? No, I did not. I moved in. I'm just here visiting. Like, And he feels like, he's like, what? He's like, I don't see anybody new here. Maybe somebody's going to come in, like all Shabbos, he's looking, he's like, what is going on here? Third time, before the time comes, I'm leaving, don't worry. He goes out of the house, he starts walking to the house, and what he's supposed to do? He's walking towards the house. He's about to knock on the door of this house, and he hears from inside the house. He hears a bunch of kids crying for Ima. Mommy, mommy, what are we going to eat? We're starving. We have nothing. We have what's going to be? We have no food. And he hears the mother telling the children inside, don't worry, don't worry. Maybe Eliyahu and Navi is going to come back again. Because each of us could be an Eliyahu and Navi. Because each of us could partner with his son and bring Yeshua and Geula and his feelings to other people. You don't have to look anywhere else for Eliyahu and Navi. Just look inside of us and recognize how much Hashem loves us, how much he believes in our emunah, and how much we could partner with him. That's not what we have to think about in these last couple of hours of Sukkot. It's Zocheh, to be able to sit in the feel of the Hanusa, in feeling of his Baruch's presence, feeling his love with our strong emunah, partnering with him for many years. B'ez Hashem, Ad Yas Kol Tzedek, and there it is.
Thank you.
That's how I can put it. Like, I think it was like recording or something. And you just did that.
Well, I really enjoy it. Not in her browser this year. Still enjoying it, nonetheless.
That's great.
Are you? You're here for the whole year or half the year?
Let's see.
Alright.
Yeah.
Not a bad answer.
Fun. See you around.
Yeah. Yeah, we just need. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to sit in the front right now. What's that? It's trivia? It's not actually a share. Wait, what's that mean trivia? It's a joke. That's so funny. Final question, like no. Been a few years.
My face is like alright. Set up where I was good.
okay, Nizam? You good? I should move? I should move the building?
That is the joke, yeah.
Aren't you guys supposed to be technological? Okay. The truth is, so I try to stop. Oh, does it? The Sultan knows that it's a davar chashiv here. Thank you. It's boiling. Shkach. The Sultan knows that it's a davar chashiv over here. Because, in essence, I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Tonight's my anniversary. 20-something, 40 years ago, 80 years, I don't know when. I went out with my wife for the first time in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. So she said to me tonight, you know, don't you think that we should go out? I told her it's Hoshana Rabba. Hoshana Rabba is a helic day. Shlomo Zalman used to say that Hoshana Rabba is a day that it gets hidden. People don't know about the Hoshana Rabba. Oh, good? Good. People don't know about Hoshana Rabba. People also don't know how to use a microphone. Is there anybody? It's on? Oh, it's good. Oh, okay. Hoshana Rabba is a day which is a hidden yontif. There's something called kreplach. Do you all know what kreplach are? Good old American fellows, you know what kreplach are? There's 3 Yom Tovim that we have kreplach. One of them is Purim, one of them is Hoshana Rabba, and one of them is Erev Yom Kippur, because they're all incredible days with tremendous, tremendous kedusha, but they're hidden. The kedusha is hidden. It's a work day. You're allowed to work. It's a chayil in essence. It's called a maid, whatever. But there's a tremendous amount of kedusha that you can get. Shlomo Zalman used to say that by him it's mamish like a Yom Kippur. He asked, so why is it that in the Deiros HaKoidmim, that they didn't make as big a rash? We don't find in the Paiskim that they made as much a rash as Mikubalim and the later Deiros. Shlomo Zalman said because in those Deiros, they lived with so much emo and so much pachad of the Yom HaKadosh, of the Yom HaKippur, and all these Heilige days, it would have taken away from the Simcha of Yontif. So therefore it was hidden. It was hidden. The Hoshana Rabba was hidden in essence. So I told my wife, see the prophet. Where's my friend Yoni? Yoni, is there anything we're getting it, or it's good? Okay, if it's good, then I'm good. So I told my wife, we're going to go on a date together. I'm going to come and hang out with you guys in Hakotel. And she's down there saying Tehillim for all of us. It's obviously not working. Okay. So me and Yoni went on a date. And okay, as every year, what I do is I have different shilas to ask the Olam. Everybody hears me, right? I think you're hearing a lot of me right now. All right. So, Kanira technology has not come to Yeshivat HaKotel. I'm very impressed. Let's see. As every year, we have somewhat of a contest. This year, I brought some svarim. Whoever gets the most answers, he gets to choose whichever one of the svarim that I wrote. The second prize will be the sefer that he did not choose. The third prize will be the other sefer he didn't choose, and the fourth prize will be the last sefer. Okay? And then the fifth prize is Rabbi Tarragon will be giving $100,000. Okay. He's not here. That's why I was able to say it. The Maisa, there's no shaila that we'll be saying, the Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to be besimcha. I'm sorry about the voice, this is laryngitis or something of that nature. But Kanira, the Sultan knows that something very good in Gishmak is about to go on over here. The Rebbeinu Shalom clearly wants us to be besimcha. The whole yontif is a yontif to be besimcha. There's no question that Kudei Hashem, Yisharim, Yisamchei Leiv, the greatest simcha is the simcha of Torah. There's no simcha like the simcha of Torah. And in the next couple of days, we will dance to the simcha of Torah to show that that's the greatest simcha that we have. I want to do tonight is show you a tremendous amount of the simcha in Torah. It's very interesting. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll dive in the last of the Hoshanas, after we ask the Rebbeinu Shalom to save us, to be Mashiach us from everything, from every single imaginable thing, and to help us in every single thing that we need help. We end with the last Hoshana, is the Hoshana of Elam Mashois. This Hoshana is unbelievable. We're past all of the tsaras that could aleinu come to us, chas v'chalila. We're past everything that bad, and we ask for everything that is toiv. And we go, Hoshana, Hoshana, save us from this. Whether it's in refuah, whether it's in parnasa, whether it's in any form of bracha. At the end, the last Hoshana where we mamish lose it. We lose it, and we dive into Rebbeinu Shalom. This is where we need the most Hoshana. We need the most help from the Helike Bashefer. That's Elam Hashos. Listen to what we daven in Elam Hashos. Helike Bashefer, Rebbeinu Shalom. Hoshana, save us, Hoigesh Hashos. The ones that are learning the Torah Kadosha. Chidosam Mishtashos. The Chidas of Torah. The Geshmak of Torah. Lahashos, Chayke, Yeshuas, Tfulim B'Shah, Yede B'Chashos, the ones that understand the Torah. Lahavin Shmuos. Please, Rebbeinu Shalom, save us that we should understand the Torah Kadosha. That we should know Torah. Mipicha Nishmoyas, Nois and Shuas, Krav Shuas, Rega Shuas. All this is that we're begging the Rebbeinu Shalom to give us Havan in Torah, Geshmak in Torah, understanding in Torah. And what we're going to do tonight in Mitzvah Hashem is to try to show some of the Geshmak in Torah. I'm going to ask questions. You guys are all on your own. You keep record. Who knows? Who. Everybody knows whoever answered what. And like I said, afterward we'll add it all up. And the could be, maybe there'll be 2 people that'll win. Maybe there'll be 3 people that win. Let's see what happens. So first of all, again, I got from Chumash, we got from Malacha, we have from Kol Torah. Because some people tonight are saying Mishnah Torah. So we'll try to learn as much as we can to get the different, a bit global in Torah. Where in the Torah does Moshe Rabbeinu say his own name? There's no order to this. The order is what I'm in the mood for. Where in the Torah does Moshe Rabbeinu say his own name? No. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh bidvadoi. If I get a hint, it's a half a point. Where in the Torah does Moshe Rabbeinu say his own name? No, just say. Come on. No, he doesn't say his own name. One place in the Torah. What? But say it. What does he say? Say it. You want to say it, say it. What? Make him say it. What? Not the last pasuk in the Torah. No. It's one place Moshe Rabbeinu says his name. Where? You're a good Jew. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. It starts out Zeis HaBracha. In Zeis HaBracha he says, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. He's talking about himself. Where in the Torah do you see, there's a lot of places, but give me a guy and a Jew that have the same name in the Torah. A Jew and a guy that have the same name. I have 9. What? Jew could be after my guy. No. Jew could be a guy could be Kaidim even Noach and us, but Jew and a guy with the same name. But the Jew could be Kaidim Man Torah. Yeah, Jew could be, once you hit Avram Avinu, we're Jews. That's it. Say again? I remember you. You're my buddy. No, give me a kiss. No. What's your name? What's Rothschild? What? Rothschild. No, I know you. So, who? 1. Shail. Who did you say? No, he was a guy. No. Shail. Shail was what?
Shail was one of the kings of...
He was one of the kings of Edom, and he was also who? He was also Shaul ben Shimon. Very good. I had to look it up. Very good. Okay. You get me. You go like this. Like that. No, they told me when I come here I do like that, they'll think I'm cool. Right? Now you see I'm not. Korach. Korach was a Jew and Korach was a guy. Where was Korach a guy? Very good. One of the Enkel of Esav. No? Who else? Come on, who is Esav's shver? Who is Esav's father-in-law? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, my father-in-law one day, right? No. Who? Chor. Very good. You're a wonderful Jew. Who is Chor? Yeah, no, the Jewish one we know. Come on, don't. He's a wonderful Jew. Chor was one of those guys that got killed with Bilam over there somewhere. Yeah, okay. No. Give me another one. Who? Who is Esav Shver? Who is his father-in-law? Basmas Bas Elon. And who's Elon? Elon who? Let's see. Zvulun had a son named Elon. What? I can't hear. No, there's a terrible echo. I mamish can't hear. No. I need in the Torah. I'm in the Torah right now. Anyone else? I have another 5. I'll tell you Bekitzer. No? Bella. I'll make you a deal. If I say it and you tell me where it's written, I'll give you also a point. Bella. Bella's the son of Binyamin. But who is he? Give me the guy. He was the king. He was one of the kings also that got killed over there, right? I'll give you half a point. I remember you from last year. What about Chanoich? That's what I thought you were trying to get. Chanoich was a guy, and Chanoich was also the son of Reuven. Chanoich ben Reuven. There's others. Let's go weiter. Give me a couple. I'll make it a little bit easier now. Give me a couple in the Torah that they're tzaddikim mamish, except they happen to steal also. Mamish tzaddikim. You know, a husband and wife combo, they're tzaddikim, but they happen to steal. Very good. Yaakov and Rachel, you're Bab and Zayda. What does it say? Vayignoiv. Rachel is a trofim. Vayignoiv Yaakov, a slave Lavan. He stole the slave of Lavan. Very good. You got a point. Okay. Give me a... Yehuda, in the bracha by Yehuda, he has every single letter of the Aleph base except for one. Tell me which one and tell me why. I'll give you a hint. It's Rabbeinu Bachaya. I really mean these things. In the bracha by Yehuda, Yehuda has every letter of the Aleph base in the bracha that's given to Yehuda, except for one letter, and tell me why that letter is not there. It's in Vayichi. I'll give you a hint. No, Avi, tell them. You, Avi, don't look around. I'm talking to you. No? Zion. Who can tell me why it's not there? Says Rabbeinu Bechaya, because the koyach of Malchus Yehuda to capture for Klal Yisrael and to make Milchamas for Klal Yisrael is not with Klei Zion. It's not with weapons. It's with the Torah. It's not with Klei Zion. Klei Zion is weapons. It's with the koyach of Peh. It's the koyach of Tefillah, the koyach of Torah. That's our koyach. Now, what bracha did Yaakov say when Yaakov and the brothers, when the Shiftei Kol, when they met Yosef, what bracha did they make on Yosef? Oh, come on, that's an easy one. The Beis Yosef brings it in Siman Kuf Yud Beis. I'll give you a hint. It's a Shiboi La'aleket. I'll give you a hint. You say it every day, 3 times a day. No, I tricked you. I'm so happy about the laryngitis because I could do that. No. Come on. You're going to kick yourself, or the guy next to you when I say it. No, they tried that one. Kick him. What? No, bracha. Which bracha? No? You can say it. Mekabetz nidchei amo Yisrael. Nice, no? Was steht in the Beis Yosef? I like that. Mekabetz nidchei. Okay, what word is sometimes used to mean in the Torah? Is sometimes used to mean a person. Sometimes it's used to be a part of a person. Sometimes it's used to be a city. Sometimes it's used to be a portion. I could do it P's if you want, okay? Portion, person, place, and part. No, what word? Same word. In the Torah, it means 4 different things. Sometimes it means portion, part, place, or, what was the other one I said? Person. I'll give you a hint. On this one, you're going to kick yourself. Who? Who said that? Who said that? I love you. You got it. Shechem. Shechem is a person. Shechem is a place. Shechem is a katef. It's a shoulder. And Shechem echad yoser, may, right? It's a portion. So it's a portion, it's a place, it's a person, it's all these things together. It is a geschmacka one. You know, there's a great Jew in Bnei Brak. This Jew's name is Rav Dov Landau. He knows kol ha-Torah kula. Backwards, forwards, inside, outside, in every which way. Every which way. He's a person that has eitzah. He's a person that has chachma. I asked him many, many years ago a question. Many years ago, it's about 20 years ago. They told me this is a Jew that knows Shas Be'in. So you could ask him. I asked him a question. It was Sukkot and he asked me a question. Now I'm going to ask it to you. He asked me, when is water aser b'hana? And don't start like, you made like a moider hana or whatever. What? Very good. You got it. You should get a kiss for that. Very good. Nisach hamayim. And he said so much so, it's very interesting. He said that water, there's a water, it's the only water that he knows about, except for obviously Yom Kippur or whatever, that you're chayiv kares on it. If it's nicer of the Nisach hamayim, you'd be chayiv kares on it. Nice, no? They leave over the water, and that's why it's negeya today, right? Well, not today, but it's negeya. If you would leave over the water, if it would be nicer of the Nisach hamayim, Yitaka would be chayiv kares. Which city is named after a person before he was even born? No. He was born. You just killed Mitzrayim. No. Which city was named after a person before he was born? Who? Who? No. It's the only place in the Torah. It's in Parshas Lech Lecha. I gave it away.
Done.
No. He was born.
It was done.
No. What? No. I'll give you a hint. No one said it. Who? Who? No. Meaning, at least what's explicit in the Torah. That it could be a medrash. It's got a mazaya, which is mashma, like you just said. But I'm saying explicit in the Torah. So Rashi brings, what? No. Rashi brings, stay Amaleki. Says Rashi, Amaleki, he wasn't born yet, the guy. Stay Amaleki. Rashi says he wasn't born yet. Amalek wasn't born. So Rashi says this is the place where you see that somebody was born, was named after a place that hadn't yet existed. Stay Amaleki. Sorry? Where does it say Dan? And they weren't. It says Mefresh? Okay, so then he gets a point. It says explicit? Yeah? Very good. You do the thing with it. Yeah, okay. So. Okay, I have a shayla like this. The Levium, when they were by Har Evel, some of them stood on Har Gerizim, and half of them stood on the mountain. So Moshe Rabbeinu, though he was a Levi, where did he stand? So half the Levium stood on Har Gerizim, half of them stood on the bottom, on the floor. So where did Moshe? Moshe was a Levi, where did he stand? What? What? Sorry? So what's the answer?
Moshe wasn't there.
Okay. The answer is Moshe wasn't there. He was dead. The whole story, come on, that was a good one, no? The whole story of Har Evel and Har Gerizim happened afterward. The whole story happened only when they came in, when they're going to go into Evar Yarden. No, which say, how many times in Shir Shirim does it say Hashem's name?
No, except for Shal HaVasiyah.
How many times? What?
No, unless you count Shal HaVasiyah.
Sorry, how many times?
One, if you count Shal HaVasiyah.
Very good. Okay, so the answer is 0. No, but you got it. You got it. You got it. And I think most people think that the only sefer in Tanakh that doesn't have Hashem's name is Esther. That's not true. Shir Shirim also doesn't, because we don't count. right? It's machlekes in Midrashim, but we don't count it. So Mela, Shir Shirim, which is the bitui and the expression of Ahavas Hashem, Hashem's name is not found. It should tell you something about Hester Panim. It should tell you something, everybody say. Now, I think you're not going to like me for this one, but I'll do it anyways. There were 12 paths that Klal Yisrael went through in Yam Suf. There were 12, the Shvatim, every Shevet went in his own path. There's only one person that he went in someone else's path. I'll give you a hint. You're not going to like me for this one. But it's mutual. Was? No. Was? No. Gavaldik. Yosef HaTzadik, who did he go with? No, he went with Eltzafa. Moshe got him out, but he went with Eltzafa and, no, help me guys. Who? Mishael. So he went in Shevet Levi. So Yosef went through Shevet Levi. That's not a bad one. That's a good one, no? I'm saying that's a good one. You can't, no. All right. What part of the Mishkan was a perfect square? Mizbech HaKetoros. How big was it? What was the square? What was it? What was the size? Amma by Amma. Okay, what else? The Mizbech HaNechoshes. What was it? No. I think it's, just thinking a minute. 5 by 5. 5 by 5. What else? No? 4 more. Perfect square. Come on, they told me you guys know Tanakh. What's going on here? No? Perfect square, no? Very good. What was the size of the Kodesh Kodashim? Come on. Very good. 10 by 10. Very good. What else was the perfect square? What? The Aron wasn't a perfect square. No, it wasn't a perfect square. Do we take off points? Nah, anti-Semite, come on. Nah. Don't fight it, I'll take off a point, all right? So, yeah. Okay. No? The what? Very good. How much? The Choshen. How much? Azaris by Azaris. Azaris by Azaris. Give me one more. No, the Klonas were a Tefach by a Tefach, but there's one more. The Chatzar until the Mizbeach was Chamishim by Chamishim, it says Mefershim. So there you go. Those are the 6. Okay, which part of the Shemona Begadim was the name of a person? I have to come back more often. Last year, you guys were... Was I easier last year or no? I'll get the easy ones if you want. No? No? Joel, was easier last year or no? Was it getting schwach? No? What's up, Shad? There's more internet in the Welt. No? What's going on? I'll give you a hint. His son's name was Chaniel. That's a great hint. No. Come on. Let's do halacha. Chaniel ben Ephod. For all you know, I'm making it up, right? All right, we'll do a few more of these. We'll get to halacha. You're in luck. My paper spilled on it, so maybe after things are rubbed out. But there's only 83 more shilas, so don't get nervous. Give me 2 places in the Torah that the Torah says, and I'll give you the easy ones now. So give me 2 places in the Torah that the Torah says a number, and it doesn't mean a number at all. No, it's a number. What? It's a number. What? Who? That's 40. It's the number 40. No. What? No. I love you all. It's a word that's a number, but it's not a number. That's 4. Kiryat Arba, the Kiryat of 4. Who? Very good. Number 1. Beersheva. It's not a number, Bichlal. Sheish. Who said it? Okay. What's your name, son? I love you. Gewaldig. Sheish. Atazai. Give me where does the Torah say that an inanimate object has a heart? Nope. An inanimate object has a heart. I'll give you a hint. What does it say? I could also do that.
Who?
Who? Yeah, I think you got it. What'd you say? Kafa Tahoimais Belev Yam. There's one more. One more. Should I give you a hint? It's in Parshas Veschanon. V'har Po'er Ad Lev HaShemayim. I'll give a point for that. Because they didn't get it. You get a point. Okay. Where in the Torah did they do kisi dam on a person? Sounds like cannibalistic, no? Kisi dam on a person. I'll give you a hint. It's someone in this room's bar mitzvah parsha. Probably. What? Kisi adam. That's it says in the Medrash. Doesn't say it first in the Torah. Very good. Who said that? I love you. You're getting back. You're getting back to last year. Said it. Vikisinu es damai. Right? It says by Yosef. They said Vikisinu es damai. They covered his blood. Next. All right. Where in the Torah does it talk about a sister and it's not a woman? This is like one of these like Heintige things we shouldn't talk about, though, right? You know. Very good. Isha lachaisa. Talks about a sister and it's not a woman, right? So, all right. Let's see what we got here. Where do you take trumas and maisos on an animal? And don't tell me that like you cooked it together with vegetables or something. You know, come on. It's not gonna go here. No. I'll give you a hint. It's a Mishnah in Klayim. What? No. Trumas and Meisers. Very good. Adnei Asada. There's an animal in the Mishnah in Klayim that is attached to the ground. The animal is attached to the ground. Cool, no? Oh, thank you. This is for me? He's attached to the ground. You have to take Trumas and Meisers. I wasn't sure about this one, but Chaim Kanievsky in his Sefer Derech Emunah, he brings it down. Allah Meisa. You have to take Trumas and Meisers from this character. Unbelievable. After you shecht him, take Trumas and Meisers. Okay. Now I start the fun ones. All right. This is good. You find something, excuse me. You find something, a finder, I might say Aveda finds something in the street in Rosh Hashanah. The loser, the person that lost it, if he gives a siman, the finder could keep it. Again, if somebody finds something in Rosh Hashanah, if he gives a siman, until he gives a siman, nobody can do anything with this item. But Rega gives a siman, the finder could go and use it and do whatever he wants with it. Until then, no one can do anything with it. You got it? One more time. You find something which is rabbim until the loser gives a siman, nobody can do anything with this item. Bregi gives a siman, the finder is allowed to do whatever he wants with it. What? No. But you're close. What? That was like a racial comment or something. The Eved. Wait, say it one time. What? Maybe. What? You guys are psharing him. I think he's wrong. 1 minute. Yeah. No. But doesn't mean that until then no one could use it. And it's not the finder. We're saying that the finder could use it. What's the case of the finder? No. I'll give you a hint. It's a Gemara Bab Metzia that everybody here learned, because everybody learned Deir Metzias. What? I'm sorry? No. It's a Gemara Bab Metzia on Daf Chav Daled that everyone in this room learned. It's brought in Shulchan Aruch and Choshen Mishmar Iteration and Test, but that I don't know if everybody learned. But Bab Metzia Chav Daled, everybody learned. What? No, it's not meat, but you're close. It's because you're a callous. No. Okay, you know what? It could be you're right. The way I asked the question, you're right. No, so I could ask, but I meant to ask, but you're not bad. The way I asked the question, he's saying a piece of meat. If there was a piece of meat that was found on the floor, so then you're a Jew, you found it, you're not allowed to eat it. You're not allowed to eat it because who knows where this piece of meat came from. Comes along somebody else and he gives a siman. He gives a siman. So now he's giving a siman, that was my piece of meat. So now we know that piece of meat is kosher. Now the finder found it in Rishus Harabim. And since he found it in Rishus Harabim, so then we say, even if it has a siman, you're allowed to keep it because the person was miyayish. But until that point, no one was allowed to eat it. But now that you gave the siman, the finder is allowed to keep. The finder is allowed to actually eat it. But I meant to say, that's why I said you're wrong, but you're also right. So both of you get a point. But I meant to ask it differently. I meant to ask, you found a piece of meat. You lost, someone found something in Rishus Harabim that was also behano. And berega that the finder, the loser gives a siman, so now the finder is allowed to be nena from it. So now I gave it away. What's the answer? What? No. Nobody could be nena from hektish. No. Which one? Who? You're close, but you're wrong. No? A barrel of wine. A barrel of wine. If I find a barrel of wine in the Goyisha neighborhood, am I allowed to drink that wine? Avadana. You have to assume that it came from Goyim. But let's say comes along this Jew, and the Jew says that that's my barrel of wine. Right? So now, the finder is allowed to drink it, because it's a siman. The loser, that's the emes of finders, keepers, losers, sweepers. Verstehst? Because in this case, since it's in Rishus Harabim, we say Zarei Shulcha. Excuse me. Now, how about this? Excuse me. Okay. All right, some easy ones first. No, those ones are hard. Okay. I know a couple that the husband is sometimes older than the wife, and sometimes the wife is older than the husband. This is not some like trans weird thing. You know? Very good. Give me the dates. Come on. What was the case? One's born what? Very good. One's born Adar Aleph. That's what you meant, right? One's born Adar Aleph, and one was born in Adar Beis. So the husband, let's say the one I know, the husband's born in Adar Beis. So in he's born, let's say Gimel Adar Beis. So in a regular year, the husband is older than the wife. This year, his wife is older. Because she was born in Adar Aleph. She's born, let's say, Chaf Adar Aleph. So this year, she's going to be older. Got it? You get a point. Don't worry. Now, 4 weeks in a year, there are no weddings. When is that? 4 weeks? What? It's 3 weeks. Last time I checked. What? What? Sphira. So you don't get points for that. 4 weeks in a year, there's no bar mitzvahs. When is that? What? Who? Sorry? I can't hear. I don't understand. There's no bar mitzvahs. 4 weeks in a year, there's no bar mitzvahs. 4 weeks, no bar mitzvahs. No kid becomes bar mitzvah.
When it's 13 years after just another Aleph.
When Adar Aleph was 13 years ago, I think it works out this year, but when there was only one Adar 13 years ago, take a look, I think it works out this year, but when there's 13 years ago was an Adar, only one Adar, so then the kids bar mitzvah, there are no bar mitzvahs in an Ibrayor that year, until Adar Beis. Mishabur Paskin's like that, and thinking Siman Nun Hey, Sifkat something, I don't know, Memches, I think. But there's no, again, you got it? If if the child was born 13 years ago, and the other was only one other, so 13 years later, if it's an Ibayur, if it's a Shana Mubaris, so then there's no bar mitzvahs, Mishmar says, in the entire other Aleph. There's only going to be bar mitzvahs in other bays. Which mitzvah is a tzaddik never going to do? Which other one? Which other one? Hashem Zaveda, that tzaddik could do. I'm a tzaddik, I do Hashem Zaveda, why not? What? Which? Not bad. Maybe. But maybe you could say he's an oinus. Who? Burning noiser. Not sure, because it's not necessarily that koyin. Yeah. Who said that? Somebody just answered. Someone just answered. Ribbis. Who just answered? Very good. Ribbis. Says, there's a mitzvah to return the ribbis. You get a mitzvah if you took ribbis to return that ribbis. Which, sorry? I'm sorry? Marrying? That's not bad. That's not bad. That's good. That's very good. Marrying a woman that he was honest. That's very good. I didn't know that one. That's good. It's because I'm a tzaddik. Give me a place that the Torah says a halacha, l'maisa, based on a mashal. A mashal in the Torah, that because of this mashal, the Torah says a mashal. And because of this mashal, the Torah says halacha. What? The what? What does the Torah say? You're close. You're close. But you're not saying it. What? What? I can't hear. What's a mashal? What do you mean? No, in the Torah itself. A pasuk in the Torah. The Torah says a mashal. Yes, I knew the Dalim would say Miriam. I'll give a point for it, but I didn't mean Miriam because Miriam's not a halacha in the Torah. It's a specific mice in the Torah. That's why I said halacha, but I'll give you a point because I also would have said Miriam. Yeah? No. The Torah says a mashal mefurish. Ki? What? Very good. A woman that was nenas, that's what reminded me of the Shaila. A woman that was nenas, so what does it say? It says you don't kill her, the Nara Marasa. Why? Ki kasher yakum ishal reyehu, because she's just like somebody that got killed. Ki kasher yakum ishal. Derechagav. I had a case of where somebody was sitting, somebody was chayv misa. And then we find out that he has a friend that are tzaddikim, and then we say, you know what, we can't kill him. What? No, halach l'maisa. Halach l'maisa. Somebody is a chayv misa, and then we find out that he has friends that are tzaddikim, so we don't kill him. What? Who? No, halacha. Halacha, not a story. No. I got to come back one day when I have a voice. No? I'll give you a hint. Somebody said something here, and that's what reminded me this one. It wasn't on the list. Yeah, Ben Sarah. What's the story, though? He has to what? Very good. If the Ben Sarah was eating with good people, it has to be that his friends were all a bunch of rakim and a bunch of low life, good for nothing. What are they called? I think thugs or something. No, a bunch of hoodlums. So but then you find that afterward, he's got yeshiva guys are his friends. He got the yeshiva bachrim. So then you say, oh, so he must have been eating with these guys. So then we take off the chiv misa. How do you have a case that we kill a Jew based on an eid echad? It's the only case I could think of. I'll give you a hint. It's a Yad Raman Sanhedrin and Dafayin Aleph. What? You know what? You might be right. What? Masis. He's saying a masis. Do we kill based on an eid echad? A masis. You know. Okay, I don't remember. If you're right, you get 3 points because I don't remember. See? If you're wrong, you lose 30. Okay? I have to look it up. We have to look it up afterward. There's Minchas Chinuch about it, I think. We have to look it up after in Parsha Shoftim. Eid Echad. We kill a Jew based on an Eid Echad. What? I'll give you a hint. You're going to hate me after it. What? It's not really, because we also have to have two Eidim involved in the Kina and the Stira and everything. What? Who? He said Maces. Maces we have to look up. No, it's not exactly, because the Saita, you have to have two Eidim on the Kina and the Stira and everything. It's not the Beis Din. Beis Din doesn't kill based on Eid Echad. She drinks the miserable waters. Oy vey. Was? No, but we kill somebody based on it. Kill. What? Who? No, you have to have two Eidim. That's the first Gemara. What? Who? Sorry? But that's not the Beis Din. Beis Din will kill based on an Eid Echad. Said it, but we won't kill based on it. You guys aren't going to like me for this one. No, you got to have two Eidim. You still need two Eidim. You guys aren't going to like me. There's a guy who killed somebody, killed a Jew. A guy is Chayiv Misa, says the Gemara in Sanhedrin, with an Eid Echad. Okay? Now, that guy was Megayer. Okay? So we still kill him. I know you're not going to like me for that one. You guys are beginning to make it mutual over here, okay? All right, so I'll give you a different one. All right. You have... No, this one you won't like me for. Okay, what Kohen Gadol is allowed to marry an almana? That's not bad. No. What do you mean he was already married? Okay, so that is true. That's true. No, so I'll repeat. So let me rephrase the question. When is a Kohen Gadol? You're right. I'll give you a point because I asked the question wrong. When is a Kohen Gadol allowed to marry an almana? No, that's not true. You're totally wrong, but you're very, very close. But you're totally wrong. No. You're both. You're so close, yet so very, very far. What? No, you guys are so close, but you're not saying it. You're not saying it right. Yeah. No, he's not allowed. No. It's asay, the chalisa say, the asay, whatever. It's a bunch of things. So, I ain't the Gemara. You guys are close. Say it. You got it almost. You're going to hate me for sure once I say it. What? Yeah, you got it. If the Kohen Gadol was Mekadesh and Isha, who is an almana, and he didn't say her yet, he could go now and be nice to her. Nice. Got it? You see why I said you were close? Right? You should cry. No? You were close, right? I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. What halacha does the Chafetz Chaim and the Likutei halachas learn from there? In Masechta Sanhedrin, on Daf Chof. But this is a freebie. It wasn't on the list. No, you should be able to get it. He learns that what halacha does the Chafetz Chaim say is the same thing. What? What case are we going to say that somebody that wasn't allowed to marry somebody, but he could marry that person if he was already Mekudesh to that person? And it has to do with Sanhedrin Daf Chof. No, a king, a melech, is not allowed to have more than 18 wives. Okay? It's a tough life, you know. But if he's Mekadesh her already, you know, right before he became the king, so then we say, no, that's already not nice. Is it, what? If you become a Kohen Gadol, you can stay married to the almana. If he becomes a Kohen Gadol, you can stay. I was saying, when can he marry? Sorry? Now, like this. All right. Now, this one you guys aren't going to like me. 1 second. Here. Okay. Okay, when could you be Yaitse a mitzvah, but the guy who's being Yaitse, you can't be Yaitse the mitzvah? No, you're close. You know what? I'm not sure if you're right about that. I'm not sure if he could be, if a Cherish could be Yaitse. I'm not sure. What? Okay, so I'll give you a point, but I don't like you. He's saying if he was already Yaitse the mitzvah. Okay. No. You can be Yaitse the mitzvah, but the guy who's being Yaitse, you can't. What? But what? Then what's he doing? He's making a Yaitse for you? I don't think it works. What? No. But who's being he could technically be Yaitse. He could. If he drinks the wine, he could be Yaitse. They said that over here, but I don't think it's true. I mean, you're close. But I don't think it's true. It could be a Cherish can't be Yaitse other people, but you're close. What? Sorry? Mikra Megillah, that what? I want to hear, but I don't hear. I'm I can't hear. I'm sure it's good, but what else? Oh, it does say. Close. I think you're getting it. If you blow into the pit, right, so the guy in the pit is Yaitse. The guy out of the pit is not Yaitse. Because the guy out of the pit is hearing a havara. He's hearing an echo, like you guys are hearing the whole night. But the guy in the pit is Yaitse. What? That's a birchas nenin. If you can't smell besamim, you can't make it for somebody else. But he could do it for himself. He could do it for himself. If a guy makes kiddush in the bathroom, he should be arrested. Which mitzvah could you only be Makayim from hearing from others? That's a good one. You can only be Makayim this mitzvah from other people. What? No, you can be Makayim. The guy who's reading it is Makayim it also. I'll give you a hint. You get it every day. Who said it? Birkas Chayanim. The Sefer Charedim says there's a mitzvah asay on the Israel to get the bracha. There's a mitzvah asay for you to get the bracha. The only way you can do it is by listening to somebody else. Duchen. Not bad, no? That's a good one. That's a good one, no? Okay. Let's see, two more. Let's end with a bang. This is good. I have something that is worthless. It's asabano, but you have a chiyav hashavas aved on it. What? What's the case? What's the case? Very good. Very good. You stole chametz. Then it was Aval Pesach. Now it got lost. That chametz is asabana and worthless. But to the guy that stole it, he could say, I raised it chalafanecha. As a Mela, the Gemara Baba Kama says it's a davar garim lamamin, it's kemamin dami, and therefore there's a chiyav hashavas aved on it. Now I admit it's a machlekes, but it's enough for a riddle. Now, now I want to get you guys a good one. 1 minute. All right, here we go. This one you're not going to like so much, but I'll say it anyways. When can an usher eat the mai? What? No, but he's not an usher. What? No, but he's not an usher. He's not an usher. Besides, I mean an usher at this point right now with all of his wealth. I'll give you a hint. It's a Taisus Himsachim and Daf Lamed Hey. I actually mean these things, you know? No. Taisa says, maybe. Taisa says that chametz excuse me, matzah is called lechem oini. So maybe klape oini of lechem, everyone's considered an oni. Tosis doesn't sound like that. Feldik and Meissen, no? Come on, you guys like me for that one? Carol's for president, no? Who's your choice? Biden? Well, come on. Come on. Last one, let's see. We got a good one here. This is a good one. It's not the last one, though. When do you have a star that's puzzle 100%, according to all the poskim that ever lived and ever should live? And you sign on it, puzzle Adim, and now it becomes kosher. What? Very good. Anybody want to tell you first? Puzzle star. You sign on it, puzzle Adim, and it becomes kosher. I'll give you a hint. It's Gemara Baba Basra Daf Kuf Samach Beis. What? Oh, so you got it wrong. I'm sorry. You should be blessed. I thought you got it right. Not puzzle sukkah. I said sukkah? Star. Puzzle star. I said sukkah? A puzzle star, you go and put in it puzzle Adim, and now it becomes kosher. Who? No. The answer is like this. If you have avia, that's what you're saying? Okay. If you have a star, and you have Adim ksherim on the star, but there's space between the star and the Adim. So now that star is puzzle. Why? Because anybody could write in there. Okay? So if you fill it up, says the Gemara, with puzzle Adim, that kashers the star. Kashers the star. Nice? I'll leave you with one last one. This one is too. You guys aren't going to like me. This one, I'm not going to like you. This one. Let's see. All right. Who didn't eat for 70 years? Very good. Chayne Magel. All right. Who won? Let's hear it. Let me see. How many do you have? Let's see. Let me add up the points. How many do you have? A lot also. All right. I wish you all a good kvitel, a gebench to year, and next time I come back, I'll have a voice, Bez Hashem.
Maybe I got 8.
Doing great. How many points needed was the
That's supposed to cut off. Let's see what happens.
As much as I could. I could always get everything else.
Are you taking the water with you? No, it's okay.
Oh yeah, so I can
Let's see if you can see.
Carver, how many did you get?
You got it. Where's that? Next to that. Alcus.
What did you get?
8. Their mom said it's max because it's so good. That's what I'm saying. I think the English one?
Wait, so who's, you're definitely winner, you're definitely winner. Who's number 1?
I got 8.
They didn't, huh?
I don't know, I got 8. How much did you get?
How much you got?
I got 8.
8. Then they both got it.
He got 8.
He also got it.
You guys don't want the same safer, then it works. You guys want the same safer, then it doesn't.
Yeah. Which one do you want?
This was it.
black one.
Seven, going once.
I think 2 is enough. I need 3.
Rebbe.
Where are all those? Where's that come on?
Don't drink out of my cup.
I'm not going to drink out of it.
Rebbe.
Chayamer.
The thing happened in your sukkah starts at 11:45, right?
11:15.
11:15.
How you doing, my friend? I got to run right after the show. So we're not walking back together.
I just got a text actually from Michael Wilson saying, "Are you on?" I said, "I'm going to the Yeshiva." I'll call you in an hour.
Wow, gewaldig. There's a kumsitz in my house in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to run right after the shiur. Yeah. I scheduled this first and I couldn't change that. So
I was wondering, the reason I'm here is all my friends are like, your Rosh Yeshiva's coming to speak, you should come listen. So I came, and then I'm like, what time is he speaking? I'm like 11. I'm like, ha. You're running. I hear. I'm listening to this and I'm going to run with you. I'm also going to run. I'm going to get over there.
ladies and gentlemen. Yedidi. Thank you so much, Rabbi Tarragon. Rabbi Tarragon, I have an event that's happening in my house in 10 minutes, which I will not be present for most of it because I agreed to Rabbi Tarragon to come here and speak. Rabbi Tarragon, I have a yeshiva event in 10 minutes in my house. I'm not going to be there. In my house. 100, it's true. I actually chose you first. That's the truth. But it's hard to say no to Rabbi Tarragon. I didn't know when the event was going to be. I told Rabbi Tarragon as early as I can. So it ended up being 11 o'clock. So here we are. So after I finish, I'm just going to bounce right out of here. You're not even going to see me. I'm going to flash. Okay? I have something very deep to share with you boys tonight. Okay? It's super, super deep. And I'm saying that because I'm not biased. It's not my own Torah. I'm just going to connect a few dots. There's a few pages here from Yerucham Olshan. If you're interested, you could take a look. It's just the beginning. We're going to start you off. And then we're going to segue. We're going to say something from Rabbi Yerucham Olshan, and then from the Rabbi Pinchas Friedman, which is not on Hoshana Rabba. That's the dots that I'm connecting tonight. And then we're going to I'm going to end with the Shem Mishmar. Now, we always have an issue with the name of my shiur. Somehow it never works out 100%. I don't remember, one year we for sure got it wrong. The other year we tried to do the lowly worm and ended up being the lonely worm. I got it wrong. This year, Rabbi Tarragon was really on top of it. He said, "Is this the name? Did you get it right?" I said yes. And then after the show, it's the wrong name. But that was my fault totally. Why? Because the name of the shiur is how to take down your walls, right? I want to talk about how to build up your walls. So I got it all wrong. But I'll explain to you why. The first half of the shiur is taking down the walls. The first, actually 90%. The last 10 minutes are going to be why we're building up walls, okay? Here we go. I want to talk about Hoshana Rabba. Hoshana Rabba is huge. And the reason why I'm here tonight is because Yeshivat HaKotel is putting Hoshana Rabba back in its place. It's being machzir, it's returning, and I lost my mic. I lost it, right? It's okay. It's being machzir HaTorah L'Yoshna. Yeshivat HaKotel is bringing back the glory of Hoshana Rabba where it's supposed to be. So I'm happy and proud to be a part of that, and so should you be. Listen to this. There's so many amazing quotes. I'm going to show you some because I said got a lot to do. The Karakemach says that the tachlis of the Chag, the tachlis, the purpose, the whole point of the Chag is Hoshana Rabba. Right? It's actually the tachlis of this entire process that we were doing of the Yom Noraim from Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Hoshana Rabba, it's the big day. That's Aryeh Shog Milo Yeroeh. So the Karakemach says, Hoshana Rabba is Tachlis HaChag. Is it working? There it is. Am I better without the mic? We'll see. We'll put it over there. Okay. The Sefer HaManhig, this is all from Rabbi Yerucham Olshin, brings that, what does it mean? It's the Tachlis HaChag. What does it mean Hoshana Rabbah is what it's all about? So he says a little bit more. He says it's about this. It's about Hoshana Rabbah, and it's about the Hakofa, the Tachlis HaKofa. We started doing every day one Hakofa around the Mizbeach or around the Bima. And then we have Hoshana Rabbah, lots of Hakofas, and the Tashlumi HaPurim. As the Purim are going down, we've completed that on Hoshana Rabbah. What does this have to do with anything? What does it have to do with all the Hakofas? What does it have to do with the Tashlum HaPurim? What does it have to do with, this is the purpose of the entire Chag. It says the Torah. Here goes. We know the Hakofas are Zeicher LeMikdash. But he brings a Yerushalmi, and the Yerushalmi says that it's Zeicher LeYerichoi. In Yericho, when Yeshua was capturing Eretz Yisrael, he had to conquer Yericho, and he had to go around. If you look in the Psukim, and that's what we bring over here also in Sefer Yericho, first he ran around every single day once for 6 days, and then on the last day he went around 7 times, and the walls came tumbling down. A song like that. Okay. The walls came tumbling down. That sounds familiar, right? Go around every single day, and then the last day 7 times. Says Yerushalmi that what we're doing is Zeicher LeYerichoi. What does Yericho have to do with anything? Okay. Says the Karakemach. Karakemach says what we're doing on Sukkot is very similar to what happened in Yericho. Because as we go around, all of the Purim are going down in number. And that represents that the Umoy Sa'olam are misma'atim, right? Because there's 70 of those korbanos, which reflects the 70 nations of the world, and they're being reduced, they're going down. What we're trying to do is we're trying to overpower the Umoy Sa'olam. Not to destroy them, but to bring back the glory of Am Yisrael. How do we do that? So slowly the power of the Umas Olam is diminishing. The numbers are dwindling. Says the Karakemech, that's what it was. And that's what we're doing when we go around the Akafas. Now listen to this. He says, and this also is going to be La'asid Lavoi. That's what's going to be in the end of times. The Hakofa that we're doing Bisman Hazeh is a simin and remez le'asid. So Hoshana Rabbah is not just a remembrance of Yericho of what happened, it's actually a simin for what's going to happen. The Torah says in the name of Rav Haiglein that he heard that the Nitzachon of Gog Magog happened during Tishrei. Gog Magog, the war to end all wars, happened in Tishrei, and that's the reason Shabbos Chol HaMoed we lane the Haftarah in Yechezkel by Yoim Ba Goig. We lane about Goig u'Magog. Shabbos Chol HaMoed Sukkos. Says the Vilna Goyim, Iker Goig u'Magog is going to be 3 hours, and it's going to happen on Hoshana Rabbah. Did you know that? On Hoshana Rabbah. Okay, so Hoshana Rabbah is a big day. It's the day that's going to end it all. It's the day of the Melchama of Klal Yisrael with all Umas Ha'olam. So these Hakafas that we're doing, which is a Zeicher for the Hakafas that happened in the time of Yericho, and is a Remes for the Hakafas of Lasid Yavod, are very powerful. I want to explain. Rav Karelenstein brings down, and he says he brings from Tzadikim. He doesn't say from whom. He says that it's Yodua that Harbe Soine Yisrael fell on the day of Hoshana Rabbah. Anyone familiar with the very famous one, most recent? Anyone know what I'm talking about? Trials happened on Hoshana Rabbah? Nuremberg trials. The day that they were killed, they were hung, was on Hoshana Rabbah. Okay. So, I want to explain to you what happens on Hoshana Rabbah. And I'm going to try to connect it. We're going to step out for a second. Up until now, it was all from Rabbi Yerucham Olshin, the Yeshiva of Lakewood. Now we're going to move on to the Shvilei Pinchas, Rabbi Pinchas Friedman. What he says over here, hello, Rabbi Loi. What he says over here is nothing to do with Hoshana Rabbah, but I think you'll see it has everything to do with Hoshana. He doesn't make that connection. I'm just going to connect this dot. He brings from the Chassam Sofer describing what happens when we put on tefillin. We put tefillin on and we tie it around 7 times. 7 times we go around our arm. Put on tefillin shel yad, and then we put on tefillin shel rosh. Spoiler alert. The tefillin shel rosh has 2 shins. If you look at your 2 shins, one of them has 3 branches, the other one has 4 branches. That's 7. 7 times we go around our arm. 7 times we have shin. Let's see what happens. Says the Heilige Chassam Sofer. Why do we put on tefillin shel yad before tefillin shel rosh? He says, I'll give you a mashal. There was a person, there was a people, and they wanted to take someone as a king. They wanted to coronate him as king. And he said, before you make me king, first you have to put in chains the people that are being ma'arer, the people that are questioning my malchus. This is the Chassam Sofer's mashal. He says, the heart of Rishayim is what causes them to drift. We put our tefillin on our arm right in front of our heart, and we tie it 7 times to tie up our heart. And then afterwards, we're mamlech Hashem, and we put the tefillin on our head. So the tefillin shel yad is sur meira, is in order to kind of like take control of your heart, and then the tefillin shel rosh is the asay tov, is when we're mamlech Hashem. So says the Chassam Sofer. That's what we're doing when we put on tefillin. Says the Arizal, brought down by the Mogen Avram, the 7 times that you tie around your arm is because the Yetzer Hara has 7 names. The Gemara says there's Sheva Shemais to the Yetzer Hara. He's called 7 different things. Soinei, Oyev, Even, Michshol, Ra. It's 7 different names. It's Faini. So we tie 7 times, and Rabbi say, I hope, at least if you come out one thing out of this shear, every time you tie your tefillin shel yad, think about you're trying to put your Yetzer Hara in chains. Says the Vilna Gaon, that's why we do it 7 times. Shulchan Aruch says, Paskins la'alocha, that the shin on your tefillin shel rosh, it's a halacha Moshe Sinai. The shin on one side is a regular shin, 3. The shin on the other side is 4. It's altogether 7. So we have 7 of those arms that go on our head. Now the Gemara in Shabbos says on the pasuk, Lo yeh b'cha el zar. You shouldn't have a foreign god. Who's an el zar? Says the Gemara, the Yetzer Hara. Why is the Yetzer Hara called an el zar? Zar, says the Megala Amukos, is Zayin Roshim, 7 heads. The Gemara in Kedushin speaks about Rab Acha. You know that Gemara? It came into the Beis HaMedrash. There was a shade, and it came in the image of 7-headed snake. 7 heads. The Yetzer Hara. Zayin Roshim. 7 heads. That's what the Megala Amukos says. That's why he's called Elazar. Kemira, tefillin shel rosh is not an elzor. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu we put on our tefillin shel rosh. We say about tefillin shel rosh, sos anoichi al imrasecha kemoitzei shalom rov. Sos is shin, shin. Shin, shin. Sos anoichi al imrasecha. What does that mean? Says the Vilna Gaon, because you have 2 shins on your tefillin, one with 3, the other one with 4. Sus, anoichi al imrasecha. If you have your tefillin on your head, so then you're not afraid of the Elzar. Sus, anoichi al imrasecha. You got it? So, what I'm going to explain to you is the following thing. We got the 7 on our arm. So, we're taking care of that. Now we got another 7 on our head. What do we need another 7 for? What's the double 7? And what does the pasuk mean? Sas anoich yalim rasecha kimoitze shalom rov. Shalom is booty. Booty is when you capture a country, so you take all the spoils, right? So what are the spoils? What are we talking about in this pasuk? Sas anoich is shin shin. I got it. Says the Vilna Gaon. It's referring to your tefillin shel rosh. It's got a shin on one side, shin on the other side. There's 7 heads. That's kinega, the 7-headed snake. There's some interesting stuff going on here. Okay. Here goes. I'm going to start with a word from the Baal Shem Tov, in the Mishnah in Avos. Mishnah in Avos says, Ezu Gibor HaKoivesh Es Yitzroi. Who is the strong person? Now, the Baal Shem Tov says it sounds like you've got a choice. Who's the strong one? Ezu Gibor. Like as if you're choosing this one over someone else. What is it coming la'afuke? What does it mean to exclude? I would have thought it meant to exclude some guy that's, pumping iron. Says the Baal Shem, no, that's not what we thought as a Gibor. Ezu Gibor, so who's the other person we're referring to? Says the Heilige Baal Shem. There are 2 ways for a person to fight his Yetzer Hara. One way is to be doicha the Yetzer Hara, is you push him away. And the other way is to be kovesh the Yetzer Hara, and that is to capture him. What does that mean? It means as follows. One way is to push away the Yetzer Hara is just get him out of your life. Just get away from me. I can't deal with you. And just to be mevatel your Yetzer Hara. The other way is to conquer the Yetzer Hara and take him to you. Don't push him away, but gain control over your Yetzer Hara. Channel your Yetzer Hara. Be kodesh your Yetzer Hara. That's a whole different daraga. Says the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, Ezu Gibor. You want to know a really strong person? Well, there's a strong person he's pushing away his Yetzer Hara. He's saying no to his Yetzer Hara all the time. He's saying no to the Yetzer Hara. He's fighting his Yetzer Hara. He's strong. He's not the strong person we're talking about. When Chazal say strong, HaKoivesh Es Yitzroi, someone who can conquer his Yetzer Hara. He doesn't say no to Yetzer Hara. He says, Yetzer Hara, you're coming with me. I'm going to use my Yetzer Hara. That's a strong person. So we have 2 different ways of dealing with our Yetzer Hara. However, says the Zera Kodesh, you gotta start with being doiche Yetzer Hara. Don't be a smart guy. If you can't push off the Yetzer Hara first, you can't right away just embrace him. It's not possible. First, you got to be able to live without him. First, you got to be able to push him away. And then afterwards, once you've done that, once you're in control, then you could start incorporating him. First, you got to put him in chains. And then afterwards, you could take him to work for you. That's the order of how it has to happen. If people are going to try, like right off the bat, to try to channel the Yetzer Hara is going to get them. Yetzer Hara is powerful. First, I got to be able to live without him, and then I can use him for me. It makes a lot of sense. Therefore, first, we do tefillin shel yad. Tefillin shel yad is I'm wrapping it on the Yetzer Hara, and I'm got him in chains. That's being doiche your Yetzer Hara. That's when I control my Yetzer Hara. After that, then I'm kovesh my Yetzer Hara, and I put my tefillin shel rosh. That is when I have the ability to channel the koiches of the Yetzer Hara in order to use it for avodas Hashem. That's what it means when we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chol livavcha. Livavcha is with 2 hearts, Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Tov. Okay. So Rabbi Say, I'm going to suggest as follows. what's happening with the hakafas is this. Every day we do hakafa on Sukkot, we're trying to put we're going around the Yetzer Hara another time like we do tefillin shel yad. Every day what we're trying to do is trying to get control of our Yetzer Hara. On Hoshana Rabba night, we don't just try to push away the Yetzer Hara to try to control him that he shouldn't dominate us. We take the Yetzer Hara captive. We're kodesh the Yetzer Hara tonight. What's happening tonight is we're trying to take the Yetzer Hara and use him for us on our team. And that's what it means. Sos anoichi alim asecha kimoitze shalom love. What is shalom? Is booty. We're taking spoils of war. Shin shin. That's the tefillin shalosh. Sos anoichi alim asecha kimoitze shalom love. How does that happen? Happens through limud haTorah. Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah, Tavlin. What does Tavlin mean? I heard from Rabbi Moshe Shapiro. I think it's from Rav Dessler. Tavlin doesn't mean that I have a way to combat the Yetzer Hara. Tavlin is a spice. Tavlin when something doesn't taste good and I need to make it, that I can make it palatable. What makes the Yetzer Hara palatable? What makes it we can be kodesh the Yetzer Hara? I can use the Yetzer Hara for me. The answer is Torah. Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah, Tavlin. So the Torah is how we're kodesh our Yetzer. That's what we're doing here tonight. That's why we're here. The Hoshana Rabba night is a mimic to stay up all night and learn Torah. The reason is because through limud haTorah we can take the Yetzer Hara and use them for good avodas Hashem. Pilei ploim. It's Hoshana Rabba night. It's the night of Mechemes Gog u'Magog. It's the night of the Din Umas HaOlam. What's the difference between the Jewish people and the Goyim? You know the Goyim can be makriv korbanos. Korban oila, not a korban shlamim. What's the difference between a korban oila and a korban shlamim? Korban oila is kulo l'Hashem. We don't eat korban oila. It's all for you, Hashem. Korban shlamim is nechal, which means that human consumption, we're going to eat this, we're going to enjoy this. Now, the Goyim understand the concept of precious, of abstinence, because the Yetzer Hara is terrible. You got to stay away from him. He's horrible. So they stay away. They get that. So they can bring a korban oila. But they know the chiyah of the Yetzer. But they don't know what it means to be kodesh the Yetzer. To be kodesh the Yetzer is to eat a korban shlomim, is to be able to take the idea of achila, the concept of achila, and to sanctify and to elevate it. That is miyuchad for Klal Yisrael. That's what's special about us. And we get that tonight on Hoshana Rabba night. That's why this is our night. That's why the pasuk says, "V'ro'u kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem mikro lecha v'yu mimeko tefillin sheberosh." What's tefillin sheberosh? Tefillin sheberosh is our ability to be kodesh our Yetzer. The Goyim can't do that. They don't know what that means. And when they see a Yid who has the ability to take davar gashmi and be mekadesh it, that's something that is beyond them. They respect that. V'ro'u kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra lecha tefillin sheberosh shin shin sos anochi elim artzecha k'moitzei shalol rav. That's something that the Umas HaOlam have to respect. It says, the Gemara in Megillah Daf Gimel, Yeshua wanted to capture Yericho. He was having a hard time. And a malach appeared to him. And the malach says, you are mevatel Korban Tamid, you're Mevatel Torah, you want to conquer Yericho? Yeshua says, okay, so which one is it? What's the problem? Tell me the problem. Says the Malach, Atobasi, now I'm coming. What does that mean? Not clear in the pasuk. Tosfos says, the Gemara says clearly it's talking about Talmud Torah. But why? It says, because the pasuk says, Va'ata kisvu lachem es ashira hazois. It's on Torah. Vayolin Yeshua ba'emek. Yeshua stayed up the entire night learning. And in that schus, the walls of Yericho came down. What does that mean? We're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing tonight. We want the walls to come down. We want to be able to conquer our Yetzer Hara. We're tired of fighting with him. It's always a fight with the Yetzer Hara. I'm trying to get him out of my life. Imagine if you could conquer him and it could be your spoils. You could have him working for you. That's Torah Tavlin. We have to find, says the Panovich Yerov, the Shira of Torah, the song of Torah. Torah is gishmak, Torah is enjoyable, Torah is like a song. That's why it brings that posting, if you find Shira in Torah, so then a person is able to have a Tavli Torah, because what a gishmak there is in Torah. That's not the antidote, that's the spice of life. The Tavlin is Torah. And that's what we're doing tonight. I suggest David HaMelech was an Admoini. He was a redhead. Pardon me for saying, I think he was a hothead. He was a redhead. Admoini im yefei einayim. What does that mean, im yefei einayim? I heard from my Rebbe Moshe Shapiro. Admoini means he was red like Esav. He had murder in his blood. He was a warrior. Im yefei einayim, he was able to channel it for good. There's no night like tonight. The night of David HaMelech, to channel all of the things, our challenges, the Yetzer Haras that we have, through Limud HaTorah. If a person is really engrossed in Limud HaTorah, he learns Torah with a gishmak. So then all of the Yetzer Haras, they all can be used for good things. No one better than David HaMelech. David HaMelech came from the lowest place in the entire world. David HaMelech came from Moav. Moav is Gematria 49, 7 times 7. That was the deepest that you could possibly go. It was the lowest of the low. Not the holiest of holies, the lowest of the low. And David HaMelech was able to be kodesh his Yetzer Hara. David HaMelech says about himself, he learned Torah from his Rebbe. Everybody say, this is tonight. This is what we're trying to do. This is the avodah, the special night. And that's why tonight is the night when we can have an advantage over Ummas Ha'olam. B'miyuchad tonight. This is the shir. Any questions? We're good. I have a question. Yeah. I'll give you an example, okay? I'll give you somewhat an extreme example, but a beautiful example. My father-in-law is a Chassidish. He's a chassid of the Regina dynasty. The Regina Rebbes, when they drink soup, so they don't bend over to their soup. Try it. I've tried it. It's hard. They bring the soup to them. The soup doesn't control me. I control the soup. He's going to eat his soup. And it's delicious soup, the covered Shabbos. But I'm using this for Shabbos. I heard from Reb Shimon Schwab. He was by the Chofetz Chaim Friday night. He ate soup. I'm not sure if he sat up or he bent over. I don't know. But he had he took a taste of the soup. He says, gishmak. Then he pushed it away. Enough. What does that mean? I'm going to eat. I'm going to drink. I'm going to enjoy this world. As l'kavod Shabbos, l'kavod Hashem. It doesn't control me, I control it. So then I'm enjoying it, I'm using it as a vehicle to get me closer to Hashem. As long as it's not controlling me. Clear? We're taking down the walls, my friends. That's what we're going to do tonight. But I have a good question. It's not my question, it's the question of Shem Mishmar. So this is tonight. Tomorrow night, what are we doing? We go around, do hakafes 7 times. Here we go again. What's going on? I thought we're done. We did the first 7 of the 7 days of Sukkot, and then we do a 7 on Hoshana Rabba. I thought we're finished. Nope, we're going again 7 times. What's the next 7? Says the Shem Mishmar, a very beautiful and important thing. He says those 7 times is not to bring down the walls. It's to build up walls. We need to put walls up. If you want to live a life where you can be kovish or yetzer hara, you need to have walls up. You need to keep certain things out. The pasuk says, "V'hayisa ach sameach." Ach sameach means on Shavuos, Simchas Torah, Simchas Torah, ach sameach, just happy. What does that mean? So the Vilna Gaon has one pshat. Rav Shor brings from the Ger Rebbe. Ach sameach means there's only a certain type of simcha you're supposed to have on Simchas Torah. There's a simcha on Simchas Torah that we're not supposed to be included. There's a miut. It's simcha shel mitzvah, simcha shel Torah. You got to put up a wall and say that type of simcha I don't want in my life. That type of influence is not invited here. You got to put up walls if you want to be able to be kovish or yetzer hara, so it can't allow anything into your life. So we put walls up also. These are good walls. These are walls to keep the enemy out. That's Simchas Torah. So we spoke about the kli of how we break down walls. Just like Yeshua used Torah, so too we're learning tonight Torah. We spoke about how the fact that Hoshana Rabba is the time, the hakafos that we do are zecher for the hakafos of Yericho. It's a siman for a remez lasid lavoy. Mechemes goygu mogog is going to happen on this night. Something about the war. By the way, the Mefarshim say that in Yericho there were 7 nations there. All Shivas Ha'amim, all had representation in Yericho. It wasn't just a war over a city. It was a war over the entire Eretz Yisrael. This is really entry. This is when they were breaking down the capital. All of the 7 nations had representations there. This is it. How do we do it with Torah? Because that's the difference between us and them. Hashem oiz li'amo yitain, oiz is Torah. Hashem yivarach esamo b'shalom. Shleimus, the korban shlomim, that's what we have. We are able to be kodesh our yetzer. That means not only are we going to not do bad, but we're going to be able to take the yetzer hara, channel it for good. Just like David HaMelech, he's admoini im yefei einayim. So even if a person says, I got such a urge to do bad things, Barasi yetzer hara, Barasi Torah Tavlin, engross in Torah, the shira of Torah. Find the gishmak, the enjoyment in Torah. And when you do that, then you can channel all of your koiches towards Avodas Hashem. I have a kasha. I'm going to end with a kasha. I don't know the answer to this question. I have a thought, but I'm going to leave it to kasha, and anyone wants to hear my thought, you're going to have to get a hold of me because I'm running right after we finish. So I had suggested that the reason why this all happens on the night of David HaMelech is because David HaMelech is the one who's admoini im yefei einayim. He came from the lowest low place, Moab, Gematria 49, 7 times 7. Mamish, the lowest place possible. And David HaMelech was able to be kovish the yetzer hara, to channel it all for Avodas Hashem. Beautiful. Problem is the Yerushalmi. And with this I'll close. The Yerushalmi says, by Avram Avinu it says, Umatzasa es levovoi nemon lefanecha. By Avram Avinu it says, I found his heart live avoy, 2 hearts. Nema lefanecha. Avram Avinu was able to be kovish as Yetzer. By David HaMelech it says, Libi cholal bikirbi, which means David HaMelech killed his Yetzer Hara. Libi cholal bikirbi, there's like a hole. What does that mean? I had to be mevatel Yetzer Hara. I had to push it down. The Mefarshim, the Korban Eidah, the Mefarshim on the Yerushalmi say that he had to be doiches Yetzer Hara. It sounds like David HaMelech was not the person who was kovish as Yetzer. Sounds like he was the one who was doiches Yetzer. Avram Avinu is the one who was kovish as Yetzer. If that's the case, so then why don't we celebrate Hoshana Rabba on the first night of Sukkot, the night of Avram Avinu? Why are we doing the night of David HaMelech? And besides, so then what's Admoni in Yefei Einayim? If I thought Admoni in Yefei Einayim means that he was kovish his Yetzer, he used it towards the good, which is what I think it is. You have a whole night to come up with a teretz, Rabbi say. But tonight is an amazing night. It's such a special night. Mamish. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach didn't want people to come visit him on the Hoshana Rabbah. He's too busy learning. And when they came, he spoke to them for 2 minutes and says, leave, I got work to do. Tonight's a big night. You have a lot of work to do tonight, Rabbi Say. We want tonight to be able to be Makam Mashiach Tzidkenu, to overpower Umas Olam through Avim Torah. And I believe Yeshivat HaKotel is making it happen. Beis Hashem, we should be Zoicha, to Uvol Etzion Goyel, B'mheira V'yameinu Amen. My pleasure. I'm out there also.
He said he was claiming okay, double in there also. It's not what it means when you have nice eyes. My eyes are really as young as they are. Wait, Max, you gotta put it up. He's never gonna make it.
How do you feel about bitching over tonight?
Yeah, I'll go for a little bit. It's better. I don't know, it's really hard to use it. Nope, next. Nope, wrong. Let's go! Yes! That's my boy! Sanders is a site for non-short eyes. Oh, I can tell. Oh, that is better. Mine's better, bro. It's not that bad. Is this bad? Because this is bad.